Going on, everybody? We're live. It's your boy Adam once again for another live stream. Thanks for showing up, everybody. And if you're watching the replay, thanks for stopping in. And so, what's going on? I don't know who's here. Give a shout in the chat. I kind of decided for a number of reasons to kind of just continue with the topic of last week, at least to start the day off today. What's up, JS? OG in the house, Andrew in the house. And where are my notes? So I was talking last week about, I'm just gonna jump into it. Forget the hey, what's up, blue sky. I'm just gonna jump in where I left off last week, and forget the intro, the whole routine, and all that. I'm just gonna jump in. Last week we were talking about how, specifically, one of the things we were talking about was how you can, when something happens, you can make up a story about it in your head, and it's like an automatic reflex. And it's something that you just do. Some of us, we just, I was talking about how when the word balloon pops up on my phone and I immediately go, who the hell is that? Like I'm already expecting it to be something I don't want. A text message. Honestly, there's been times where I see the little word balloon icon and I'm like, oh, what the hell is this? It's pretty much a reflex. And I click on it and it ends up being some 6-digit code from a two-factor authentication from some app I logged into or a website I logged into, but I didn't actually clear the notification off my phone, and it ends up being like literally ends up being nothing. But when I see that little icon, I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is this? What do I have to deal with now? Et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know why. Some of the crap I've been through over the last few years, I'm just mentally conditioned, whether I want to be or not, to just always expect the worst. Whatever situation. JS says it's called ANTS, automatic negative thinking. And I have that in spades. I don't always do this, but throughout my life, sure. I don't know what started it. I don't know why. I think that psychologically speaking, it's a mechanism that some of us can do to, how do I put it? If you train yourself to expect the worst in a situation and then the worst thing happens, you've already kind of psyched yourself up and mentally prepared for that situation. So it won't hit you as hard as it would if you were expecting a great outcome. So I'm just a random, I don't know why I thought of this, but going to your driver's test when you're 16 years old, trying to get your driver's license, expecting to fail. If you go into your driver's test expecting to fail and you actually fail, does that feel better than if you went to your driver's test expecting to pass it without any problems and then fail? Does that make you feel worse? And if you go in expecting to fail and end up coming out on top and winning the day, does it feel better having won when you were expecting the worst than winning when you expected to win? I don't know. And I think there's a psychological thing that some of us do, that I've done throughout my life, where if you go in expecting the worst and the worst happens, you've already set yourself up mentally to deal with that blow. And Blue Sky says, yeah, I call it a mental code that was installed in the brain. I said, oh, no way. I'm rewriting the code to my benefit. And so I think that's where it comes from. That like maybe that at some point in my life I learned that if I train myself to expect the worst, but it's weird because how many times does the worst actually happen? If I make a list, if I just made a random list of all the times in the last few years that I was expecting trouble or I was facing a situation that, let's say, after I got out of prison, let's just forget about prison, but after my release, where I had it in my head something bad was going to happen or could happen. Something bad could happen. Maybe I'm not expecting it, but I'm like worried about it. How many times does that come to pass? If I came up with 100 times I've done that, maybe one time it was the one time out of 100, the worry that I was putting myself through materialized into reality. The other 99 times, I had nothing to worry about, but I was. And so it's like you're just setting yourself up for a lot of problems. And but we might do these things on a large scale when it comes to important things like you went and got you have some symptom, you go to the doctor and get a test, but before the test results come back you're hemming and hawing, and maybe the doctor said something. Well, in the worst case scenario it could be this. They planted some seed in your head, could be the big C, you know and you're all of a sudden freaked out. Oh my god, oh my god, I've got cancer, and turns out it's not even anything. It's a birthmark or something. You know what I mean? Like it's nothing. When you get the test results back, it's nothing. A lot of people do that. And so I've been guilty of that, especially on big, important things that could really have a negative impact in your life. But how many times do we do this on things that don't even matter, even if it did go bad? A text message from somebody annoying that I don't want to get a text message from, at the end of the day, even if I did, what does it matter? You know what I mean? So when I see that little word balloon and I'm like, oh my God, who the hell's texting me right now? But the thoughts go through my head. Is it my probation officer climbing up my ass? Is it an angry client? Is it somebody else? There's 50 different people on a list that I don't want to get a message from out of the blue. And so when that little light comes on my phone, I'm immediately going down that list in my head before I even hit the button to see who it is or what it is. And like I said last week, sometimes it's just a reminder that a bill is due in a few days. I got to pay a bill. Your credit card payment is due 5 days from now or whatever. It's just a reminder. And so I said that, last week, every time I get a text these days, excuse me, I gotta get a drink here. It's 104 degrees outside today here in Houston. So it's hot in my place. As a side trip here, my AC unit cannot keep up. I would say when it's above 90 degrees outside, this AC in my house is useless. Or at least it feels useless when I'm sitting in here. But if I go outside and come back in, I do notice, oh wow, it actually is doing something. But in the extra room in the bedroom area, it's probably 86 degrees in that room right now, even with the AC on full blast. There's just not enough BTUs putting out. This thing does not put out enough energy to cool this house off when the sun is out and when it's over 90 degrees. I think the only way for me to deal, if I really wanted to fix that problem, I'd have to get a window AC unit and put it in the other room. And I've looked at that. Um, I mean, it is what it is. But we're in the time of year right now. I don't mind the heat when I'm outside. I can go outside when it's 104 outside and not care. I've gone on 10-day camping trips when it was 110 sleeping in a tent. Um, we did do a lot of swimming that week, and we tried this. A friend and I decided to go on a 20-mile mountain bike ride when it was 110 in the middle of the day. It turned into like an 8-mile mountain bike ride where we would stop. We were going through a 2-liter camelback of water every 20 minutes. Every 20 minutes, we were going through 2 liters of water each, and we'd have to stop. We were riding around a trail that encircled this big lake. It's called Cave Run Lake. And at least I think that was the lake. But anyway, we were going around this lake. It was supposed to be a 25-mile ride. We turned it into an 8-mile ride. But the trail hugs, you're never too far from the shore of the lake. And I had a water filter, a Katahdin uh, water pump filter. And we were stopping at this lake. Every 20 minutes, we'd have to stop and put 4 liters of water in our camelbacks, 2 liters each. 20 minutes later, the water's gone. It was so hot outside that the sun beating down on the tube, the drinking tube that hangs over your shoulder, any water that was inside that tube was hot enough to burn the inside of your mouth, like scalding hot, like you just ate a hot pizza right out of the oven hot. So you would have to take the water bladder and squeeze it with your finger and get all the water to like pour out of it from the straw so that the water inside the bag was coming into your mouth. You couldn't drink the first 6 to 8 inches of the tube because just beating down on the sun for 10 minutes was made that water hot enough to burn your mouth. It was 110. They canceled the 4th of July fireworks. We were there over a span of time bridging the 4th of July. And it was really dry, 110 degrees, eastern Kentucky, Daniel Boone National Forest. And that was a wild week, but it's hot like that here today. So, I mean, I go out and do stuff when it's hot, but when I'm sitting indoors, when I'm sitting at a computer, when I am doing work, that's when the heat bothers me. Inside the house here, it's not comfortable. And this house, this one thing I don't like about where I live right now is it's impossible to regulate the temperature of this house. The insulation, the windows, everything about this place is so outrageously bad when it comes to regulating temperature. There's no possible concept of set a thermostat and just let it be a temperature here. The little tool shed that I was living in when I lived, with that slumlord scam artist, the one positive thing about that place was the AC unit was outrageously powerful. I could make that place as cold as a refrigerator. I could keep that place at 50 degrees, and if it was 104 outside, I could make it 50 degrees inside that room. Um, but other than that, it sucked. Here, pretty much everything is, I like where I live right now, but when it's cold or when it's hot, forget it. You cannot keep this place. It's either too hot or too cold. You can't regulate the temperature in this place at all. I've tried, and when it was cold over the winter, we had a few cold days last winter. Couldn't do anything about it. I was dying from it. Same thing with the heat. When it's too hot, you cannot regulate the temperature inside this building. There's just no insulation. There's nothing you can do. I have the AC unit set at 61 degrees on continuous run where it never stops. And where I'm sitting right now, it's probably 82 degrees. So that's the coldest it can get, but it's 104 outside. So, go figure. Um, there was a day when I was in Jamestown, New York, and I was sitting at the library. in front of my laptop one day. And it was clear, it was like 95, 97 degrees outside, and the AC broke inside the library. So in the library itself, I had a thermometer. So I don't know how, but my watch. Uh, I had a watch that had a built-in thermometer, and it was telling me. I took the watch off my wrist and set it away from everything just to get an accurate temperature reading. It was saying it was like 90, 95 degrees inside that library all day, and I was dying. My hands were just covered in slime. And then when you're holding your hands above a keyboard on a MacBook with an Intel processor, that these MacBooks from the era that I got mine, they run really hot to begin with. They're like some of the hottest running MacBook processors that they ever made. It's one of the flaws of this computer that I use right now. Um, it was like it was probably 110 where my hands were being held over the computer. The MacBook was shutting off that day from overheating. I had to do it's weird. I mean, I've got a fan blowing on the MacBook right now just because I'm running so many apps simultaneously um that it feels like what am I trying to say here? I've got this little fan blowing on my keyboard in front of me just to keep the Mac from possibly overheating when it's hot like this. And it does help. I notice that certain things run a little bit smoother on days like today when I do this, and it just keeps my hands dry when they're sitting in front of me. Um, Blue Sky says get an electric blanket. I don't really need it. Wasn't that cold. I mean, cold in terms of like I had to dress warm inside, indoors. I had heated socks and they didn't do shit. They didn't help. Um, I mean, if heated, I mean, heated socks where there's like, the socks are wrapped in heated coils. Um, that really didn't work either. So, but I made it work. I got through it. I'm not going to live here forever. And most of the problem is due to the mini split that this thing has is not, if you calculate the square footage of the place, it's not enough BTUs for the square feet of this place to begin with. So it struggles on any day that's like be above and beyond the norm. And plus there's a wall between this room and the next room, even though there's an open doorway that I always keep open. And there's an air gap at the top of the wall. It just doesn't the air does not travel from here to there. But the problem is overnight, I'll leave the AC running. I'll wake up in the morning, it'll be like 60 degrees in here and it'll be cold and I'll have to sit at my laptop with a sweater on in the middle of summer when it's going to be 104 outside. But I don't dare turn the AC unit off because within half an hour to an hour, it'll be unbearably hot and it won't be able to cool it back down. So it is what it is. There's really, other than getting another AC unit and turning it like a really powerful one and putting it in the other room. And the bathroom has a window that gets all the sunlight in the morning. Oh my God, that bathroom is probably 110 degrees right now. There's plants that can't be in that room, even though it gets good light, because it gets so hot in that room that the plants are dying. So, but it won't be like this forever. But I do get a little bit sluggish when it's too hot. It definitely, just like that 110-degree camping trip in Kentucky, it made me so sluggish. Both of us. We basically spent most of the time swimming and just, doing different things. We weren't, it wasn't like it was, we still had a good time. It wasn't anything like we were outdoors and having a good time and doing whatever we felt like doing, but it did have an effect on how much you could do. And couldn't go on a 25-mile bike ride. It just wasn't going to work. We went on a road bike ride and the asphalt was so hot that we climbed up one hill, turned around, and went back. Because I swear to God, the asphalt was probably, you could definitely cook on it. Freshly paved road going up this real steep hill for a couple of miles and get to the top. We're like, the choice was go down the other side and continue on this bike ride. We were thinking about going on a 100-mile bike ride. It turned into 10. um, and so and we went swimming. Like, let's go out, let's take the canoe and go find a good place to swim. And that was so hot that the water in this lake felt like you were taking a bath. It wasn't refreshing. You'd swim and you would have to we'd take a big boulder or, a rock, a big rock, grab rocks, and then go like this and let the rock pull us down to the bottom of the lake. And you'd have to be about 10, 15 feet below the surface before the temperature of the water felt cold and refreshing. So I'd take these rocks and just go down to the bottom and hold our breath as long as we could, and then swim back up to the top just to cool off. But like I said, it doesn't stop me. Like, I would go on a bike ride today. I wouldn't care. You just have to, I would take electrolytes and make sure that, I'm not going to hit that wall. Don't take any chocolate. Any snacks that you're going to take. Cliff Bars do good in the heat. Don't get the Cliff Bars with get the plain Cliff Bars like white chocolate macadamia or whatever. Even when it's like 100 degrees and the sun's beating down, they won't just fall apart on you. And then there's other things you can eat too. But back to the topic. Let me get some water here. Got something going on. Like I said, it's hot. It's just weird. Anyway, um, I was saying last week, every time I get a word balloon icon on my phone, my stomach gets tied in a knot. And I'm just, oh my God, I'm bracing for the bad thing that's about to happen. And, I think that like it got worse this year when I got a new probation officer that took over my case. Last year, 2025, I've been on probation. It ends next April. And when I came to Texas, this probation officer, he was kind of mean and stern when I started out with him. But within the first couple of visits, he backed off and he was like, nah, man, I think he just he figured out that they all say the same thing. They're like, when I read your case, probably full of a bunch of bullshit that the prosecutor puts in there about you. They think I'm this, like, they think I'm one thing, and then they meet me and they're like, you're not what I was expecting. And so that's what happened with this guy. And so like in 2025, I saw him 3 times in the whole year. Heard from him 3 times over the course of an entire year. I moved at the beginning of February. He had to come and see my place. It's required. I moved in June. He came to look at my place. It's required. Then after June, I didn't hear from him again until 2 weeks, a week or two before Christmas. Just popped over. And he was at my house for 5 minutes. And he just said, he's like, yeah, I just wanted to let you know that I put in paperwork to have your threat level reduced to like bare minimum. And he's like, you're going to get a new probation officer. And when that person takes over your case, you'll probably never hear from us again. And I was like, oh, sounds good to me. So, and I think it was February. I think it was, and then it took like 2 months for that to happen. So in February, I get a text message from a new case officer, and she's friendly and everything, but I had to go. I've had a lot of encounters with her. Like, it's not the same. Like, I'm being bothered more this year than I was last year, even though I'm supposed to be bothered less. But it's all relatively minor. Like, it's not. I really haven't been. I wouldn't call it being harassed or anything. It's just, it's probably just luck of the draw. Whoever you get as your person, as whoever has your case, it's going to be up to them what they're going to do and not do. And so, who knows what's going to happen between now and the end of the year that I've had this new person on my case. But I started getting, because I'm getting more messages from them, and I'm like, a certain amount of time goes, and I'm always getting a text, or I'm getting like, you got to come down and take a drug test. I'm coming over, this, that, the other thing. And so I've been more on edge this year than I was last year. After June, I kind of forgot about it. I forgot that I was on probation for the most part because I never heard from them. When I was homeless in Jamestown, I saw the guy once. The dude, he came to the library and talked to me for like 5 minutes. Pretty much never heard from them again. So I'm actually being bothered now more than I ever have during the whole freaking time. And so that kind of, when I see the little word balloon, that's what I'm like, oh shit, what's going on now? Pops up into my head. And so this past week, sometime between last week's live stream and today, the word balloon popped up and I looked at it, and it's a message from probation, but it's not from her. It's like this automated text message that basically made it seem like I didn't fill out my monthly paperwork and submit my paperwork on time. And if I don't do it, um, I'm going to have to come down there and we're going to have problems. It was a little bit threatening. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I know I did that. I do not let that slide. In fact, I've never let that slide. I don't got time in my life to deal with the ramifications of, oh, I forgot to fill out my stupid paperwork every month. And so it says word for word, reminder, all caps. Online reporting is to be done within the first week of each month. Submit your report ASAP, if not completed. Reminder, big capital letters, consistent failure to do so in a timely manner will result in monthly office visits and other sanctions or something like that. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, I've never, but you are dealing with these antiquated computer systems. I'm not kidding that the website I log into for this fucking probation bullshit looks like it was built in like 1992 and it's never been updated since. Like, it probably was built in 1992 and they're still that's this cobbled together window, .NET Visual Basic piece of shit, whatever the fuck it is. It's a piece of shit. Um, they probably paid some contractor to build this in like 1992, and the government don't want to pay for it to be better. So it's just this broken, like everything the government does. And so I was like, well, maybe the system is broken and my report didn't go through, but I get these emails back from them with a confirmation number, the date and time that I submit my shit, and I keep those in a folder. So I pulled out my confirmation number and my date and time and whatever. And but my mind is already making up stories, as you can imagine. My stomach is all tied up in knots, and I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck's going on here? Like, I'm expecting my whole week to explode because of this nonsense. And so I gather the email with the confirmation number and the date that I had it, and I send a text message to the probation officer. And right away, usually she doesn't respond to me right away. But I'm telling you, within less than a minute, she sent me a text message back saying, "Hi, this was just a reminder message that we sent to everybody. Thank you for following up. You're good." Basically, she was like, "Don't worry about it. We send it to everybody." And I'm thinking, that was it. So that's all she said. That's the only it went back. I got, I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Thanks for letting me know." I sent her a text back saying, "Thanks for letting me know." And that's the end of it. Haven't heard from her since. So now I'm like, okay, what? But I've been in Houston since September of 2024. Here it's July of 2026. And this is the first time I got a message like that from them via text. And it was in the middle of the month. And so now I'm like wondering, do they have to deal with a bunch of, people on probation slacking off and not filling out their paperwork on time, that they started just putting everybody on blast with an email message saying, "Hey, if you haven't filled out your shit yet, get on it or there's going to be problems." Did they have to start mass threatening everybody on probation because so many people don't do their shit every month? I don't know. That's the only explanation I can think of. Um, so now I have to expect that that text message is going to hit me every month around the middle of the month, whether I fill out my paperwork or not, and I can just ignore it. But it's gonna, it's annoying because, these are people that can just come to your house, put you in handcuffs, and put you back in prison for doing pretty much nothing, if they feel like it. I mean, if you got if the luck of the draw and you get somebody who has a problem with you for whatever reason, they can make your life a living hell and they could just tie you up and put you away, even though you didn't do anything to deserve it. So I'm not saying that that's what's going on with me, but I know that that's a possibility. And just being in a situation where that could happen to you is enough stress to be under, whether or not, you're in any real risk of something like that happening or not. And so, like, I've never dropped the ball on filling out that paperwork because I don't want any problems with them. Um, so sometimes I get it done on the 5th of the month, but that's the last day. That's what they tell me is you have to get it done by the 5th of the month. And but I think they're kind of lenient when it comes to that. It, I think once or twice I submitted it on the 6th, but it was because it was after midnight on the 5th and I just was doing it late at night. But nobody's ever bothered me. Nobody's ever come at me and say, "Hey, you turned that in late." Nobody's ever. One time I reached out to my officer and said the website was broken and wouldn't let me submit it. And he was like, "Just get it done when you can." He's like, "I know it's a piece of shit." So, and I did. It may have been a day or two after the fact, but um, like I filled out the crap 3 or 4 times and submitted it, and it would just break and it wouldn't submit. But I was like, "Look, dude," I'm like, "if I have to fill out the mail it in, I will." But he's like, "Just give it a few more days. Maybe whatever is broken, they'll fix it, whatever." But he wasn't mad. Um, so anyway, the point is that it's alarming when you're in this situation to get a text message like that. Um, Regardless of whether you're on point or not with keeping up with all that stuff you're supposed to do. And my mind instantly started making up this bullshit story to go with it, that I'm all of a sudden my whole week is going to blow up and I'm going to have all these problems and I'm going to have to deal with these people and I'm going to have to I'm going to have to stop everything I'm doing and deal with that instead. But I didn't go into like panic attack mode. I just, did what I talk about. Recognize that, hey, Adam, that story you're making up in your head is all bullshit. The fact of the matter is, you got this text. other than the facts, everything else that's going through your head is just make believe bullshit that your mind is putting in there to go along with it that may or may not be true. And so, like, part of the way that you fight back against doing that is to just recognize that you're doing that. Don't just recognize that this part's true. This is the fact. This part over here is all this stuff over here is just a bunch of crap that your mind just went to and made up on the spot, like reflex. Like, doctor hits your knee with a hammer and your leg goes whoop and pops up. You don't think about that. You don't go, doctor just hit my knee with a hammer. I'm supposed to kick him now. No, it just happens. You don't think about that. It's a reflex. So some of us have that ability to just make up a story on the spot when somebody looks at you a certain way and you instantly think we're going to have problems or whatever. Maybe that person's just having a bad day and you got the stink eye, but they weren't even looking at you. They were just kind of looking past you with a disgusted look on their face because they're mad about something else and they're just looking up from their phone or whatever. And you're taking it personally, like they want to fight with, they're trying to beef with you and they're not even paying attention to you. Um, but your mind can automatically just latch on to something and make up a story about whatever's going on. And it's not healthy. But the way that you can't, instead of trying to shut that off, which it's a reflex, you really can't, just recognize it for what it is, because then you can start to put it to bed. Um, so instead of letting it bring me down or go into this like panic attack mode, I knew I was in the right. So I was like, well, got to go into my email and look for this email confirmation number and gather that, send it to myself so I can copy and paste it in a text message and put it all together and blah 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 and copy and paste, send her the text message with the confirmation number, and she responded to me within less than a minute. I'm assuming that if they just started doing this last month or this month for the first time, all of these probation officers are juggling like 100 cases apiece. So she's probably just sitting there all day responding to 100 people that are sending her a text. Hey, why did I get this text? Did you not get my report? Did you not get my report? Did you not get my report? Maybe she had to copy and paste a response saying, Hi, we're just sending that out to everybody. Thanks for checking in. Copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste 100 fucking times because all these people are freaking out that they got this text message from them. That could be the case. That could be the case. So I put it to bed, and the whole thing was here and gone in 10 minutes from the time I got the text message to the time I figured out what was going on and was able to move on with my life. I went and grabbed a drink or whatever. The disruption, and it was a disruption to my day. I get into the zone of whatever I'm working on, and something like that is a disruption to my flow. But I was able to get back into it and settle back in and continue on my merry way. Um, and so, it does reset the counter on the time it's been since I've had contact with, and like I said, the last probation officer, I saw him 3 times in the span of a year. I've had to talk with this one, I'm going to assume a dozen times this year, and it's July. And I was supposed to be dealing with them less now than I was last year, and it seems like 6 times more. But not, but at the same time, they're not like coming at me either. One of the differences last year, up until Christmas last year, whenever they visit me, they have a partner. So, and they're armed and they got their bulletproof vests on. And, some of them try to look like regular people. They don't go walking around looking like they're cops driving around in a marked vehicle. They want to be able to come and see you without everybody around you gawking and one like looking what's going on over there. He's why are the cops at his house? So they do kind of, but they do wear a certain, they do wear protection, and they're mandated to by law. And but when I first had to deal with them up until last Christmas, they would come over two at a time, backup. Because if you pull a gun or a knife, or you're they're there to back each other up, because two against one, they're both armed. You know what I'm saying? Like, duh. We know why. Well, when he came around Christmas time, I noticed he was by himself. And I noticed that. I was like, huh. And like he stopped in. He did not go past my front door. 2 feet inside the door shut. We talked for 5 minutes. He was gone. This new one that I deal with, it's a woman, and she comes over. When she comes to my house, she's by herself. She doesn't have a partner. She's not backed up. So there is a difference in, like, they don't see me as any threat. Like, they see me as like fucking paperwork that they wish they didn't have on their desk because they're juggling 100 other cases. And why do we got to bother this guy when we've got, people who rape kids and murderers and shit like that running around, that were in drug dealers and shit like that. And here we got to go deal with this guy. Like, it's how many other people do they have to go, and how many people are on their list? The federal government is so out of control, and the court system and the judicial system is so corrupt that, number one, when the federal government charges you with a crime, if you were charged by, like, say, the state of Pennsylvania, the state of Texas, the state that you live in, the county that you live in, if you were charged with that crime in whatever state it is, the same exact crime charged by the federal government, the punishment is like 4 to 6 times more severe than what it would have been if you were charged by the state for the same exact thing. So if you're charged by the state for uh, aggravated assault or something like that, and you got 6 months in jail by the local court or whatever, if you're charged with the same exact crime in federal court, it's going to be like 5 years in prison for the same crime. Same exact everything, except federal government charged you versus the state charged you. The punishment is 4 to 6 times more severe. You can look this up. You can look up like the average sentences for this crime committed in a state versus the same crime charged by the federal government. And one other thing that the federal government does is they put every single fucking person that gets convicted of a federal crime, you're automatically put on a ridiculous amount of probation. I think the bare minimum probation that they can put you on, or that they do put, I don't think there's a rule that they have to, but when they put you on federal probation, I think the minimum is 3 years. So they gave me the minimum that they give everybody. There's people out there, you could get released from prison and be on federal probation for 20 to 25 years after you get out of prison. And so there is a lobby right now fighting and trying to get Congress to reform those laws so that people like me don't get audit, like, they're trying to make it so that the judge has to actually justify the level of probation that you're given when you're sent home, because it does affect your ability to move on with your life and get back on your feet, and it limits your opportunities, and it causes a lot more problems than it solves. And the whole point is you're supposed to be able to get out of prison and go back to putting your life back together. And the best way to avoid recidivism, to where you are, the people who are able to get back on their feet and put a life together after all this shit, are much less likely to go back to prison and commit another crime. But when you make it impossible for somebody to get back on their feet after the fact, we all know why they do that, because it's a business, and the people that are filling up the beds are the same people that profit from the whole industry around the prison system. Whether it's a private prison, which there are hundreds of those in America, if not thousands of them, but hundreds of prisons in America are privately run by a private corporation. Corrections, CCA, Corrections Corporation of America, also known as Core Civic, operates a great number of these privately owned prisons. Tell me that's not a fucking conflict of interest right there. I was in one of these privately owned prisons. It's a for profit corporation that sets up prisons and runs them, and the state just pays a corporation to run the prison. How the fuck is that even possible? Like, the state can't just do it themselves. Um, but even if the prison itself is operated and run by the state directly out of the state's budget, and owned and operated and run by the state itself, there's a whole entire industry that pops up around that, supplying everything from the food, the clothing, the toiletries, the commissary, the so many different things, so many different things. It's billions of dollars. And when you look at who owns these, who's the majority shareholders in companies like that, it's the judges, the politicians, the people that are filling the beds are the people that profit from all of this shit. There's no incentive for reform. The incentive is keep the beds full. Empty prisons mean empty wallets, and an empty wallet for a politician means less hookers, less blow, less trips to Epstein Island to rape the kids, all the shit that they like to do. They don't get, they're cutting into their budget, their fund budget. So they got to keep those beds full. And I'm in it. I see it. I'm not saying that they are coming at me trying to put me back in prison so that they can keep the bed full and make more profit off of me. But I do see it. I do see that there's no reform going on. There's no like rehabilitation or any of that shit. It's punishment and it's profit. Punishment for profit. Keep the beds full. The city of Pittsburgh has a prime example. There was a juvenile detention center in the city of Pittsburgh called the Schumann Center. You can look this up. It's a famous case. 2 judges went to prison because they were paid kickbacks from the Schumann Center to put teenage kids in. Basically, it's teenage jail. It's a juvenile detention home. So these judges were putting the kids in juvenile detention for missing a couple of days of school, for jaywalking, for minor shit, like crazy minor things, because the judge was getting a kickback for every kid that they sent to this prison. And these 2 judges got sentenced to like 30, 40 years in prison for it. Joe Biden pardoned them. Joe Biden gave him a pardon. But but imagine, they didn't lose the money. They made millions of dollars hustling these kids into this juvenile detention center for the most minor offenses. And this is all documented. Ruined kids' lives. Made millions of dollars off of it. And all that money was sitting in the bank when they were, when they got released from prison. When they were released from prison, they're still sitting on a pile of money. They get to go home and live in their mansion that they bought on the backs of those kids. So the whole thing is just a joke in this country. In fact, the United States, the number of in the land of the free, you have all this freedom in the United States, yet there are more people incarcerated in the United States than all the other countries on earth combined. We have more people in prison here than China, than Russia, than all the other countries on earth. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, this whole thing about you live in a free country and you have all these rights and shit. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. And the only people who argue with me about that are the sheltered idiots in the suburbs, or the people who've never actually experienced it with their own, people who have never been inconvenienced in their own life from the corruption that's going on, and or the people who benefit from all the corruption have no problem with it. The only time it matters to most people is when it actually affects them. And by the time it actually reaches you and affects you, when it does, you'll find out, oh, all those people that tried to warn me about this were right. But then nobody has your back because you're tainted goods, and nobody wants anything to do with you, and all your friends, all your family, anybody who's ever been a part of your life they will turn their back on you. And you just being charged with a crime, even if you can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that you were innocent, you will spend the rest of your life being called guilty by society and everybody you see and know, and the family, the friends, everybody that turned their back on you. You'll never have a relationship with those people again. And they will not turn around and say, oh, I'm sorry, I saw that you were innocent after all. Like, if you have a stone solid, solid alibi, you were not there at the place at the time you were accused falsely, whatever. I mean, it does happen. We see every now and then that when you're accused, some people who are innocent actually get to go home. They might spend a year or two in jail before getting to go home. Sometimes, once in a while, it's rare, but sometimes they're able to turn around and win a lawsuit to get some money back and compensation for everything that they went through. But that won't stop. Pretty much you'll never be able to get a good job again. You'll never have, like, your family, friends. You're tainted everywhere you go. That the stigma of what happened is never going to leave you. You're going to get the stink eye from everybody you know, everybody that knows what happened. That, like, nobody will want anything to do with you again after that. Because our society is conditioned to just assume that whoever did it, whoever gets accused of a crime, is automatically guilty. The jury pool is so tainted that there's no chance in hell. Like, what? Who? Yeah. Running with Scissors says it's true. Or no, hold on. Before that, John JS says the government never loses a case. The federal government has a 98% conviction rate. 98 out of 100 people that they charge with a crime are convicted of a crime. 98 out of 100. 2 out of 100 have enough money to pay for a lawyer to get their cases dropped. They never go to trial. When the government thinks they're going to lose, they'll just drop the case. Um, if you sue and win a shitload of money, suddenly your friends and family care about your innocence. Yeah. But even when you sue and you win a shitload of money, how much of that is your money? If you sue the government and you win $2 million, how much of that do you get to keep after paying the lawyers and everybody else involved, and the taxes and who knows what else? You'd be lucky to go home with 100 grand. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know the actual numbers, but nobody wins. The only people who ever win when you walk into a courtroom are the lawyers. And that's on purpose. The whole thing is a fucking scam created by that class of people to perpetuate the scam, to profit from it. The whole thing's a fucking scam. Is there any other country on earth that has a better system than we have? Probably not. But our system is broken beyond repair. There is no, you know, you. I'm tired of. I have not been on X. I've got about 1,000 followers on X, and I tapped out for a bit. It's so toxic. I'm a toxic person. I have a bad attitude. I swear constantly, and I make fun of people. I have no problem putting people down and being obnoxiously toxic. I went to prison for that. I went to prison for being an internet troll. I went to prison for a mean tweet. Literally, I went to prison for a fucking Twitter post. Yet, when I'm on X, I'm like, damn, this place is toxic and I can't even deal with this shit right now. Like, there are times I can't deal with it. And it's just, I wish there was another platform where I could go grow an audience. But right now, YouTube is stalled. The algorithm has me on lockdown. All the other social media platforms suck. X is the only place you can grow an audience right now, in my opinion. But in order to do that, that means I have to be there and I have to be talking to these scumbags, dirtbags. And every week it's some new, like, there's so many that I'm sure you've seen where they'll put a wall together where all the Democrat operatives will all tweet the exact same thing on the exact same day, word for word. Like, they all the Democrat politicians and influencers got a memo at 6 in the morning. This is what you're supposed to tweet today. And then boom, 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 boom. You've got 150 of these, you know, millions of followers, influencers, and politicians all posting the exact same thing, word for word, all day long. And don't think that that doesn't happen on the right. The Republicans are doing it too. And the Republican operatives on X right now, you've got like Gunther Eagleman, Cat Turd, and Laura Loomer, and those are the three that pop up. And Sassafras 84 is another one that came up. And you watch these, I've watched some of these people start with small followings and then they cross the 250K mark, and all of a sudden they're in lockstep with all the other operatives. I'm calling them operatives. The politicians and the influencers from that political team, and they are all posting the exact same shit all day long. Bang, 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 bang. Like they got a document, like they got a memo at 5 in the morning in their email box. Here's the 5 things that you're supposed to post on X today to get your paycheck. And so I get tired of it because it's like one week you can't block these fucking accounts. You can block them completely. But here's the thing with X that sucks is the only way to grow your following is to comment on other people's posts. And the more popular the person is that you're commenting on, the more eyes will see the stuff you post. But when you post, I have 1,000 followers. 1,000 people said they want to see my stuff. Every single time I post something to my own timeline, 3 to 5 views, impressions. That means X only allowed 2 to 5 people to see it. And there's people that I talk to that have 10, 20, 30,000 followers. And when they post something to their own timeline, 10. X will give them 10 impressions. They've got 30,000 people that say, I want to see what this person posts. That's why you follow somebody. And X says, okay, we'll show it to 5 of them. But then that Gunther Eagleman dickhead or Cat Turd or these other fucking retards will post something and they get millions of impressions. And whether you want to see them or not, you have to because you go to the feed. I click on the button that says your following feed. I follow hundreds of people. Whenever I log into X, I see the same 5 accounts all the time. I see 5 different accounts, even though I follow hundreds of accounts. Anytime I log into that fucking piece of shit, I see the same 5 people's posts over and over and over again. And I don't see anything that anybody else posts. And it's because they're shoving it down your throat. The operatives, here are the chosen few who we want you to see. And so then on top of that, it's not just the same five people, but all of the operatives that are in that club, the club who are allowed to be seen, they're posting the exact same shit at the exact same time all day long. So for like 2 fucking weeks, Donald Trump hired his pool guy to redo the reflecting pool in DC, and they did a shitty job, no bid contract, and then he drove a bunch of vehicles on it and fucked it all up. The thing started peeling apart and filling up with algae, so Donald Trump yells out, "It's vandals, vandalism, people sabotaged it, blah, blah, blah." Every single one of these fucking political operatives, Cat Turd, Gunther Eagleman, Sassafras, all these fucking Laura Loomer, all these fucking scumbags got the memo at 5 a.m. And for 2 fucking weeks, every time I logged into X, it was one after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next. The people who destroyed the pool need to go to prison for 20 years. 20 years in prison for anybody who destroys the pool. And it's just all this shit about this fucking pool. While we got billionaires raping children, while we've got wars going on, and how many times has Trump told us that he won the war in Iran? He's won the Iran war like 18 fucking times in the last 3 months, and now we're back at war with Iran, dropping bombs again. And so what? He can tell us that he won the war next week, and it's all good now, and gas prices are going to go down, and blah. Like, who the fuck can believe this guy when he lies to you every fucking day? So whatever it is that they're being told to post, that's all I fucking see whenever I log into that piece of shit website. It's these five fucking people, boom, boom, all posting the exact same thing on the same fucking topic that they were told to post that day. Boom, 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 down the fucking row. And I'm tired of it. Lots of people are tired of it. But they're not gonna like that. That's what the whole thing. It's not organic anymore. The internet is no longer a place where people can post things and get popular based on the merit of the content that they're putting out. It's a popularity contest of who was chosen to be popular that day because they're putting out the message that they want you to see, the narrative that they want you to see and hear. We're back to the days when you had 3 channels on a fucking TV screen, and that's all, ABC, CBS, NBC, that's it. And they're just spoon feeding you the fucking corporate garbage that the government told them to pump down your throat all week. Where the internet is back to that now. There's no longer a free and open internet where anybody can post things and get popularity or have their content be seen based on the merit of their content and whether people like it or not. The internet now is just a bunch of spoon-fed trash from a handful of people that they've got lazy people who are too, all they can do is scroll and click and scroll and tap and scroll and tap. People are too, especially with AI now. You do a fucking Google search now and nobody goes past the AI result. Back in the day, you do a Google search, you're trying to find an answer to a question, it would come up with web pages. Now you got to click on some of these results to go to somebody's page, read an article, read somebody's knowledge that they put out there for you to answer the question you have. Now they've got a bunch of bots that just go out there and steal all the content that everybody wrote and repackage it and say the answer came from Google's AI. So, like, you're not even allowed to see the shit that, like, there's, billions and billions and billions of articles and text content that human beings wrote over the last 30 fucking years sitting out on the internet. But now they're not even going to let you go see that. They're trying to block you from every turn. Just let the AI bot go read it for you and package up the answer and spit it out so that you don't have to go click on something and read anymore. So then it's like, what's the fucking point of having a blog if nobody is going to ever see it? Because your blog basically exists now to train the AI bots to steal all your fucking content, package it up, and give it to people as if Google made it themselves or Grok made it themselves or Chat GPT or whatever bot of choice that you use. I'm tired of this fucking shit. This we live in the worst fucking time there ever has been to live. I'm fucking tired of it all. And so I had to take a break from X. Um, I mean, it is what it is. Um, oh my god, like I'm stuck there in my mind for a second. Um, sometimes that negative I'm a negative guy, but sometimes that negativity on X and some of these other things is so overwhelming. I made a post. Let me see if I can bring this up. I made a post. I can tell I need to take a break based on the attitude I throw in my comments and posts. And I'm not threatening anybody. I'm not saying anything illegal, but I go from having a sense of humor to just being angry. And I dropped this one comment. I'm just going to pull it up. So, does that show the original post? Yes. Okay, so I'm not going to play the video because that's a waste of time. You could go to my X account. You can go here. I'll just share my screen. You can go to links.litgood.com. That's pinned right there in the chat. You can look at my X account. You can click on that. You can, in fact, I'll just do it right now. You can see, you can go here to my X account. You can go to my replies. If you really want to dig in, you can find it. Here's all the shit that I've replied on and some memes and stuff. Replies. Fuck, replies aren't even showing my replies anymore. That's how fucking broken this platform is. My posts, okay. A post is not a reply. So now I can't even see my fucking replies. Every post is now a reply. This fucking platform is broken. It's really, they're all broken though. So anyway, this guy gets pulled over. He's out riding a bike with his son, and his son is probably on an e-bike with a motor and no pedals, the Surons or something like that. And it's 8-minute long video. I probably didn't even watch the whole video, but the gist is there's a cop whose body cam you're looking at here, and he's a fucking dick, screaming and yelling at these two guys. Oh, he finds out I guess that guy might be a sheriff. I don't know. But this cop is being a piece of shit. And that's why I couldn't watch the video. It's 8 minutes long. I didn't want to listen to a fucking roid raging, out of control fucking cop screaming and yelling at a kid for 8 fucking minutes. I was just getting angry. And so I posted, all you fucking dumbass thin blue line Trump supporters in the MAGA cult should remember these are the guys coming to kick down your doors and send you to the camps. And I got 175 comments on my comment. Every time I log into X, there's like 30 new fucking assholes screaming at me and calling me a piece of shit because I said that. Who? The bootlickers, the people in Nazi Germany who supported the SS, who loved the black booted thugs. The people who worship the state, all the Trump supporters who love the cops, even though the cops, not all the cops, but a lot of cops treat the public like dog shit. And I've been saying for years, all you people that support the cops, when it's time for them to start kicking down your door and taking you to the fucking camps, these thin blue lines that you fucking love so much, they're the ones that are going to be taking you to the fucking camp. Read a history book. So here, I'm just going to read some of the fucking comments. We can tell you went to jail. And I'm like, well, hopefully when they force you to lick their boots, they're covered in shit. So I'm just angry. Like, oh, I'm a crybaby libtard. Look at that. Crybaby. If see, that's the thing that they're in a cult. Because every time I post something that's anti-Trump, I'm a crybaby libtard. But anytime I post something that's anti-Democrat, I'm a red hat maggot. Like these fucking dumb assholes don't even go and look at like you're just a crybaby libtard because you said something that wasn't pro-Trump. And a lot of this is all bot driven anyway. A lot of these fucking accounts are just bots arguing with you. LOL, you sound intelligent. I don't think that really happens, lit good, only to your kind and the black Israelites. You would only know how that goes, huh? And so there's a thread. If I go back, start clicking on, how do I, oh, and this fucking interface sucks balls too. It's hard to follow these threads. Oh, yeah, buddy, this cop totally sounds like a Trump supporter. Almost sounds like they could be a Nick Fuentes brother. Is in a WA state, a blue liberal possessed state. Are you telling me this officer is MAGA in the state of Washington? Yeah, vote blue, they said. What a dumb fuck. Hey, heads up. Do you realize that you have fallen for a fake video? This entire video is an act. LOL. All of you TDS sufferers need to check yourself in. Everything isn't Trump. Why would we be thrown into camps? Well, let's see what went on there. Just wait, bud. Please explain. Seriously. The point is, if tomorrow being a 5'8" white guy was illegal and worthy of execution, they'd be happy to kick your door down and kill you. What the fuck are you guys getting all that from this video? And it just everything turns into a fucking fight. Like and I'm not saying I'm a dick. I'm a fucking dickhead. So I'm okay. I'm not saying that I'm innocent of being an asshole. I'm an asshole all day long. Fine. Like, so I can't, what can I actually say? Like, oh my God, I can't believe all these assholes are on X. I'm on X and I'm an asshole too. But the dumbest shit turns into these knockdown, drag out fights where everybody's pissed off and calling each other a worthless piece of shit over the dumbest shit. And it's just another example of how the people at the top, the ones who rape the children, the ones who, they all work together to enslave us. The Democrats, the Republicans in Congress, the Senate, whatever, they all get along with each other when the camera's off. They're all going to the same parties. They're clinking their champagne glasses together and doing a toast to what a bunch of fucking idiots the rest of us are, because they all get us fighting about dumb shit that don't matter all fucking day long. Fighting about the reflecting pool in Washington, D.C. for 3 fucking weeks until they find some other dumbass shit to fight about. Alex and Analog, problem with a lot of people is they look at the political parties like they're football teams. I say this all the time. They like to point the finger at the other side's fuck ups, but hold no accountability to their side. And, I said that. Jesus said that. Why are you so concerned with the splinter in your brother's eye when you're paying no attention to the plank in your own eye? And that's exactly what these people do. And I talk about this all the time. You got 4 different kinds of people in America when it comes to politics. You got, you can put I don't know, I could make a slide for my slide deck. Maybe I will. Number 1, you got people that don't give a shit at all. People who do not care. People who don't want to know. They don't know who the vice president is. They don't know the name of the governor of their own state. They have no idea what the fuck's going on. They don't care. They don't want to know. If you try to talk to them about it, they're just going to shut you off and shut you up and not participate. They don't give a fuck. Ignorance is bliss. Don't want to know, don't care. Most of those people do agree that they're all a bunch of corrupt dirtbags. Why the fuck do I want to know anything else? Number two, you got the people who are wide awake, who can see a turd for a turd. They can see, they know everything that's going on. They know history. They know the past. They know what's going on now. They know names. They know events, dates. They know things that you're not supposed to know. They listen to both sides of an argument. Is the earth flat? Is the earth round? I don't fucking know. I don't care. I personally don't give a fuck whether the earth is flat or if it's a ball or if it's a cube or a cylinder. I don't give a shit what it is. But I listen to arguments about both sides and I'm like, I would be more inclined to believe that it's a globe for various reasons. But, I can't say I'm 100. If I found out that it's flat and they had it, and I'm like, well, yep, guess it's flat. Fuck, I don't, like, I don't give a fuck about it. I'll listen to both sides and make up my own mind. Did we go to the moon? Did we not go to the moon? Was the moon landing fake? Sure. Did we really go there? Sure. I don't fucking know. Like I can come up with an argument to just I'll listen to both stories and make up my own mind. And honestly, I don't give a fuck about that either. So I don't really have an opinion about it. But I know I can do both. I can play the part of both sides of the argument and get into detail about that. Um, I know there's a lot of arguments they make about camera, the photos, and I'm like, a lot of the people making those arguments don't know shit about photography, film, cameras, lenses, and the other and all that stuff. So their arguments are bunk. Um, but 9/11 was an inside job. Yeah, the 2020 election was stolen, of course. The CIA killed JFK. Yeah, the FBI and the CIA killed Martin Luther King. Yeah, definitely. Um, this, that, the other. I mean, yes, I'm awake. I'm number two. Then you got these two other fucking people. Out of the four types, those are the first two types. The other two types are Republicans and Democrats. And both of them fucking suck. I fucking hate them. I can deal with type number one all day. Type number two, we get along because they're on my team. We have some good times together. I would say most of the people I'm tight with in this world are mostly number two, but I do get along with plenty of the first type as well. But when it comes to Republicans and Democrats, I fucking cannot fucking stand you people. None of you. I fucking cannot stand you. I really have not. Honestly, I can't tell you. I keep those people at a distance my whole life. I've always been like that. I've noticed this. See, I can go back in my life and the political people, the ones that get wrapped up in their political party being the good guys and the other ones being the bad guys, I have never gotten along with those people ever because they're the dumbest motherfuckers you could ever deal with. Now, some of the ones that you see that are popular, the influencers, the ones on X that I mentioned, you got the ones on the left too. You got, I'm not going to name the politicians because we all know who they are, unless you're type one and you don't give a fuck. And if I do name them, you're not going to care anyway. But you got, like, on the left, you've got people like that, Harry Sisson or whatever the fuck his name is. You got a bunch of other ones. I don't even know, like, who the players are. I don't. So you got one name. But these influencer types, the ones that have the millions of followers and spew out our team's the good guys, the other guys the bad guys. They're paid for that. They make their living on that. They're paid to do that. Maybe they actually believe what they're spewing, but to get that big, you got hooked into a network where you're getting paid. They're telling you this is what you have to post today, and you'll get your paycheck next week. And it's on the Republicans do it and the Democrats do it. But do they actually believe the shit that they say to people? I would be willing to bet that a lot of them know it's all bullshit and they're just a character. They're just pretending to be this conservative influencer or this liberal influencer, and they're just, it's an act because they get paid for it. They latched on to something, they got popular, now they're getting paid to say the shit. So they go all in and they're like, I'm getting paid for this. I have to do what I'm told or I don't get paid anymore. That's how that's their that's their career. So we can cut those people out. I wouldn't want to fucking associate with anybody like that anyway. They're dirtbags. It's called propaganda. So a paid propagandist, I got nothing in common with. So I don't associate with anybody like that. But the regular rank and file people who are influenced by the propaganda to believe our team's the good guys and the other team are the bad guys. They're the out of all four of these fucking people. If I was benevolent dictator of America and I had to round up people, put them in the concentration camps and take their heads off and get rid of them, the the Republicans and the Democrats, those are the ones I'd go get. I'd wipe them out. All of them. Oh, you think your guy's the good guys and the other one's the bad guys. And I would just wait until they reveal themselves. Because it's always the same shit. When you meet somebody new, you're going to find out like what on the spectrum of these four types of people. I don't give a shit. I'm completely awake, or I'm one of these two idiots in the middle. They're going to tell you who they are pretty quick. It's like one of the things that the Democrats would do. And the Republicans do it too. So if they're in that cult, if they're in the cult, because I know people on both sides of the cult, and I'm trying to like, I want to tell you a couple stories and examples, but I don't want to slip up and give you the names and give away who I'm talking about. So there was this one guy, I actually liked him a lot. He was a really cool dude. Somebody I knew in the past, and I'm not going to say anything other than that. He was a good guy, good person. But he's lockstep to the Democrat cult. And this was during the George Bush years. But every time we'd ever have a conversation about politics, all he ever did you hear about what George Bush did? Did you hear about George Bush this? And oh, George Bush did that. And oh, Dick Cheney, he's a bad guy. And he would just go fucking on and on and on and on and on and on about all the bad shit that George Bush and Dick Cheney and all the Republicans did and are doing. And the thing is, he wasn't wrong about any of it. Most of what he's talking about is fucking true. And then I would be like, well, what about Barack Obama? What about what he did? What about Elizabeth Warren? What about they tune the fuck out and they don't want to hear it, and they get mad at you. They start screaming and yelling at you. They start calling you names. They turn on it. They turn like even a person who's a good person will turn on you, and they will start like becoming like, I don't want to say violent, but you will get a reaction out of people like that. And then they'll be like, we just need to stop talking about this now because fuck you, motherfucker, and blah, blah, blah. And all, and they get mad. Like you just saw. I just pulled up on my screen. If you support the thin blue line, those are the same motherfuckers that are going to come kick down your door and take you to the camps when they're ordered to. You fucking libtard. Fuck you, libtard. They're just programmed to, I said something about all you, because MAGA people love the cops. Democrats typically don't like the cops. Republicans love the fucking cops. Like, I'm just saying, evaluate the cop one to the other. Like, you can't just say all cops are shit and all cops are good. There's good ones and there's bad ones, and there's a lot of fucking bad ones. There's a lot of bad ones. but there's a lot of good ones too. And I'm just going to leave it at that. You have to be willing to step back and look at the situation and say, is this a good or a bad person? Um, but the cult don't do that. It's all or nothing with the cult. So if so every time, like I said, every time I'm talking to a Democrat member of the cult, all day long they're like, "Hey man, did you hear about what fucking George Bush did? Did you hear about the new thing Trump did?" And blah 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 blah. They never. The Democrats never do anything bad, never do anything wrong. And it's the same thing in the opposite side. Like anytime I'm talking to a Republican member of the cult, hey man, did you hear about what fucking Elizabeth Warren thinks she's a fucking Indian chief? And it's like, like, okay, here's one. Mitch McConnell's fucking, how long has Mitch McConnell been dead? That dude's been dead for like a month and a half now, and he's still in the fucking Senate. And they're just like pretending that he's alive, like straight up Weekend at Bernie's. They're gonna walk in with his dead body draped over two fucking aides and wheel and walk him into the fucking Senate here in the next few weeks. Even the governor of Kentucky's like, I was told that he's dead and nobody's telling me shit. But the Republicans are fine with that. Like they're not. A Republican will come up to me and start talking all the shit about all the shit that the Democrats did, and Joe Biden's wearing Depends, and Joe Biden didn't. He wasn't even the president for 4 years, and the 2020 election was stolen, and blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, a lot of that. It's all true. What about Mitch McConnell? Why do we got a dead guy who's still a senator, but he's dead? That's going to shut them right the fuck up. They don't want to talk about that one. They don't want to address the elephant in the fucking room, so to speak. The elephant in the room. No pun intended. Well, yeah, that was a pun. That was an intended pun. The elephant in the room. We have a dead guy who died. He's fucking dead. And he's dead. He's fucking, tell me he's not dead. Give me one fucking proof that that guy is alive. Oh, because Congressman so-and-so said he had a 20-minute phone call with him. Oh, a bunch of liars told you something and now you believe it. But it's like somebody made the comment about, I have a great analogy. Problem with a lot of people is, this is Alex in Analog, says problem with a lot of people is they look at political parties like they're football teams. They like to point the finger at the other side's fuck ups, but no accountability for their own side. And it's like, if the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers were in the Super Bowl together, which has happened. The last time that happened, the Cowboys whooped their ass. But if the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers were in the Super Bowl, two of the most iconic NFL teams, most loyal fan bases in the whole NFL, Ben Rapistberger, you remember, he was in a Super Bowl a while back where there was a questionable call whether he crossed the goal line with the football, and the refs ruled it as a touchdown, but it may not have been a touchdown, and they won the fucking Super Bowl because of that. And so I believe it was whoever the fucking St. Louis Cardinals. They have the same fucking football. They have the same name for the football team as the baseball team. But yeah, whatever fucking the Cardinals were in the Super Bowl with the Steelers. If you were a Cardinals fan, then Ben Rapistberger didn't cross the line with the ball. Doesn't matter whether he did or not. Nothing that they can show you on the replay is going to change your fucking mind. You guys were robbed of the Super Bowl. But if you lived in Pittsburgh, I lived in Pittsburgh. Ben Rapistberger could have been 3 feet from the fucking line and never even like crossed the line with any part of his body, and that was still a touchdown. Even if you could watch the replays and they show the computer generated line where here's the end zone and here's the ball, and it never even came close to the line, nobody in Pittsburgh would give a fuck about it. That was a touchdown. That was a touchdown. And it's the exact same shit that happened in 2020, right? I don't give a fuck about these politicians and the political parties. They both suck dick. A douchebag or a turd sandwich is going to win. Which one do you want? It's like going to a fucking blind taste test for a marketing study, and there's a bowl of cat shit and a bowl of dog turds, and you're supposed to tell them which one smells the best. Well, they both smell like shit. Yay, what you want me to pick the best one? I'm not even leaving I'm never voting again. I got no, like, what the fuck do I give a shit about whether a bowl of dog shit or a bowl of cat turds smells the best? They both fucking suck. I got other shit to do today. I'll sit at home and watch TV. That's more productive than voting. I mean, yeah, go get your little sticker to wear on your shirt. I did something today. No, you didn't. You didn't. You didn't. But go ahead and make yourself feel good about yourself, you dumb motherfucker. But knock yourself out. I'm not doing it. I could give a fuck about voting ever again. So I really don't give a shit who wins. If Kamala Harris had been the victor, things would not be that much different for me today. We'd all be dealing with the same shit. We'd be in a war with Iran. We'd be paying a bunch of money for gas. We wouldn't be able to afford groceries. All of our bills would be through the roof. There wouldn't be any fucking jobs. I mean, does it sound any different than what we're dealing with right now? Everything would be the fucking same, because the people who are actually running shit aren't the ones that you vote for. The ones that you vote for are just the wrapper on the fucking package, so that the masses feel like they had a say, and you didn't have a fucking say. So the shit show will go on no matter who's sitting in the fucking seat. So it's like the football analogy in 2020. I can look at that and say, oh, yeah, that was a rigged election. Fuck yeah. I actually did vote in that. That's the last time I'm ever going to vote. Like, we all know, I drove all over the fucking country and I saw with my own eyes the number of everywhere you went in America. I went to like 27 states that year. And everywhere I went was nothing but Trump signs. 1,000 Trump signs for every Joe Biden sign. Okay. I mean, the vibe, the lay of the land was Trump is going to win by a fucking landslide. And then in the middle of the night on election night, they stopped counting the votes, and all of a sudden they started trucking in votes, all the mail in ballots. Oh, we found a bunch more ballots, and they just kept finding more and finding more until they got Joe Biden to win. Like a Mexican election where the cartel picks the president and then they burn all the ballots in a fire so that they can't be counted again. That was more legitimate than the 2020 election in America. I've never seen anything that fucking obviously rigged. But if you're a Democrat, if you got four types of people: the people that don't give a shit, the people that are wide awake, Republicans, Democrats, the cult, the two cults. If you don't give a shit, you're not in the cult. You don't give a shit. You're just living your life. You don't want to fuck you. You know the whole thing's fucked. Why do I need to pay any attention to it? Ignorance is bliss. If you're wide awake, you're past. You might have been in the cult. You might have had cult leanings. You might have thought one was better than the other. Then you learned some shit. You read a couple of history books and you started to listen to both sides of every problem instead of what these people tell you. And you start making up your own mind about shit. And you're like, wow, you're above all that. And, but if you're one of these fucking dumbass Republicans or the MAGA cult or the COVID cult, it's a cult. whichever one you're in, if you're one of those, I got nothing. I got nothing. I do not want to be your friend. But at the end of the day, it's just like that Super Bowl. You're not going to find a single Democrat in the Democrat cult that will tell you that the 2020 election was rigged, even though it's the most obviously rigged election in the history of the fucking world, like blatantly rigged. But it's no different. Like Ben Rapistberger didn't cross the line at the Super Bowl, but they gave him a touchdown. Not one single Steelers fan is going to say that it was anything but a touchdown. I saw all the replays. I'm like, he might not have crossed the line. As close, but I don't know. But I lived in Pittsburgh, so I was like, fuck yeah, Steelers. But at the end of the day, I don't give a shit. And I think that was before he got in trouble for raping a girl. I think he actually, because the NFL is rigged, all sports are rigged. When Ben Rapistberger raped the girl and got in trouble for it and had to miss out on a couple of football games because he raped a girl, he lost the Super Bowl that year. And I'm like, well, that was punishment for raping a girl. Like the whole thing, like they can't have the NFL can't allow the Steelers to win the Super Bowl when Ben Rapistberger raped a girl in the bathroom at a club. So they're like, well, let him get to the Super Bowl, but we're going to make him lose because that's part of the script. But anyway, nobody who voted for no Democrat, nobody in the Democrat, nobody in the COVID cult, Dr. Fauci's COVID cult, not one single person in that cult will ever admit that that election was rigged. But those were all the people that were saying the election was rigged when George W. Bush won the rigged election, when his brother rigged the Florida ballots so that his brother could win the presidency. The Democrats had no problem calling that a rigged election all day long, saying that George W. Bush stole the election. Because he did. His brother helped him do it, and so did a bunch of other people. The Democrats had no problem calling a turd on that day, but when the Democrats rig an election so that they can steal an election, they didn't. No matter how much evidence there is, oh, we had a plumbing leak and we had to cover all the windows so the people looking inside can't see us hiding the fucking ballots and shit, like all the shit. It was fuck, dude. If you can't see that that was a rigged election, you're a fucking retard. You're straight up retard. I'm not saying I give a fuck. I'm just saying that if you can't see that for what it is, then you're dumb. But you won't see a single Republican who would agree that the 2020 election was fair and unbiased. They don't make up people on the left and the right. They don't make up their own mind about anything. They look at what the influencers and what the politicians and what the people that they get their opinions from told them their opinion is going to be that day on any topic under the sun. And they just regurgitate that when you talk to them. You can tell they don't think for themselves. They don't have their own opinion about anything. And everything that they talk to you about when it comes to politics is just whatever the argument of the week is on X. We're going to talk about the reflecting pool today. All the vandals, that those people that ripped up the reflecting pool and damaged the pool, they deserve 20 years in prison. And I'm sitting there going, well, what about all the January 6th people that smashed all the windows in the Capitol building and went and trashed the fucking Capitol? You were fine with them getting pardoned by Donald Trump because they didn't deserve to go to jail in the first place. But now they deserve 20 years in prison because they sliced a pool liner. Or they pulled peeling paint out of the reflecting pool in Washington, D.C. that was already peeling apart because of the shoddy job that Donald Trump's pool guy did when they did it. Do you see the hypocrisy there? storming the Capitol building and smashing all the windows and breaking down the doors and stealing the lectern and running out of the fucking building with it and all that shit, those people don't deserve to go to jail at all. And thank God Donald Trump gave them a pardon. But if you pull a piece of paint out of the pool that was floating on top of the pool, you should go to prison for 20 years. The same fucking person, the same operatives. This is what pissed me off about the pool argument on X. All these fucking people lockstep day after day after day. They were all saying the same exact shit, like word for word. The people who vandalized the reflecting pool deserve 20 years in prison. And that's all of them were saying the exact same thing. 20 years in prison, 20 years in prison, 20 years in prison. And I'm sitting there going, now I agree with January 6th. I would have liked to have been there to storm the Capitol building myself. Not saying that I would have broke windows, but I mean, once the cops were telling everybody to come on in, it's a party. We're letting everybody in now. I would have went in, but I would have been wearing the one time I would have wore a COVID mask would have been that day. I would have been wearing a mask. My phone would have been nowhere to be found. My phone would have been shut off or left at home. If I had my phone with me, it would have been in a Faraday bag so that there would be no radio signals coming and going from the phone. I would have parked outside of Washington, D.C. I'm not going to tell you exactly where, but I would have parked outside the city and rode a bicycle into town, parked my bicycle in a garage. I'm telling you, I had it all, it was all mapped out. Like, I know Washington, D.C. pretty well. I've ridden my bike all over the place down there. I know my way around. I know exactly where I would have put my bicycle. I would have locked it up in a specific place. It wouldn't have been fucked with. I would have been able to walk from there to where I want to go. I would have been parked well outside the city with a way to get to and from my car without really being noticed or seen, or just like nobody really know that I wouldn't have been like, there would have been no like correlation. Like there would have been no license plates to scan. Like I wouldn't have gone past the flock cameras. I would have not been, there wouldn't have been anything. There would have been nothing. They wouldn't have had any evidence that I was there. But I would have gone. I was going to go take pictures. If I took pictures, they would have been anonymously dumped on the internet and just say, "Here you go, internet, free for the taking." The only reason I didn't go is because it's fucking cold on January 20th. Have you ever been to Washington, D.C. on January 20th? It's like fucking 2 degrees. It's too fucking cold for that shit. Or January 6th, even worse. If it was like July 6th, I would have fucking been there. No doubt in my mind, I would have been there on July, fuck. I would have been there. I would have been all over that. The only thing that kept me away was the cold. Like I could have left at midnight the night before January 6th, been there for January 6th, participated in all the festivities, and been home by like 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, as if all I would have had to do was call in sick to work. I may not have even called in sick to work. I may have just pretended to be in the Zoom meeting in the morning, like just like because I worked from home. So it's like, do I really need to call in sick? At some point answer some emails and shit, but don't leave a fucking trail as to where you went. Your phone was just happened to be offline for the day, but that's all they got. I absolutely could have been there. The only reason I didn't go was because, and I wasn't going to go to raise hell. I knew there was going to be some shit going down that day, and I'm a photographer. That's like no better opportunity to get some really wild pictures than to go to something like that. So I would have been walking around with a camera, with a mask, no fucking nothing. There would have been nothing. Like my eyeballs, I may have been wearing sunglasses for all I know. I mean, there wouldn't have been anything for them to fucking find me with. And after what happened, I would have kept my mouth shut. I wouldn't have even told my best friend I was there. Not until like now. So, like, yours would have gone by, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I took all these pictures at January 6th, but they didn't even know I was there." And even to this day, you probably don't want to say anything about it if if they didn't come and get you. But yeah, I absolutely would have went there. And but all these operatives, the Republican operatives, the football teams, the football fans, anybody who was at January 6th, they were innocent, they were wholesome group of people who did nothing wrong, trashed the fucking Capitol and broke all the fucking windows. And I mean, I was in prison with a guy who pepper sprayed a cop in the face. And then the cop died the next day. And they tried charging this guy with murder. I just gave you enough to look up his name. I gave you enough to find out all you need to know about him. I knew him. I have his contact info in my desk right next to me, and so in my prison paperwork. A bunch of people I was in jail with gave me their contacts. I'm not allowed to talk to a convicted felon as part of my probation, so I don't. At least unknowingly I might, but I don't go out looking for them. Because then, who knows what the fuck they'll do to me for that. But I know this guy. I know some of the January 6th people. I know what they went through. I know shit that most of you don't. And we'll just leave it at that. And Donald Trump pardoned all of them, and hooray, hooray. And these the same operatives who were saying for years, the January 6th people need to be pardoned. The January 6th people need to be set free. Now they've turned around and saying anybody who pulled a piece of paint out of the pool that was falling apart, they should go to prison for 20 years. And they all said this. Sassafras, 84, Gunther Eagleman posted like 200 fucking posts about people who pulled a piece of paint out of the pool should get 20 years in prison. And you can go back in time and all these motherfuckers, it's the same story with every one of these dumbass retards on social media and the politicians. They all say one thing today, and then you go back in time. I don't have to do it because somebody else already did. They go back in time. Well, 2 years ago, this is what you said, the exact opposite. And then they'll say, was this you, brah? And they'll post, here's the screenshot of your post from 2 years ago. Cat turd, that fucking scumbag, that stupid hillbilly piece of shit. I'm not going to find it because I don't want to go looking for it right now. But he posted this thing about, I don't go and dance on people's graves when they die. That's so disrespectful. Within 5 minutes, somebody posted, was this you, brah? And it was Cat Turd saying, I'm so glad that this politician died. That person was a piece of shit. I hope you rot in hell. And he said, I'm glad so-and-so is dead. You're a piece of shit. You deserve to die. I hope you rot in hell, blah, blah, blah. And now he's turning around and saying, I don't dance on people's graves when they die. That's so disrespectful. How could you wish death upon another human being? And I was like, here's what you said last week, you dumb motherfucker. Like, they don't care. These people, they don't care. They flip-flop. They say one thing 1 week, and 2 weeks later they change their mind and say the exact opposite, knowing full well that 2 weeks ago they just said this, and now they say that. They don't give a fuck. They don't. And then another thing that these influencers do or don't do, you will never, ever, ever see any of these people reply to anybody ever. If these influencers that are too good for the room, they post their bullshit, people call them on their bullshit, crickets. They post and they post and they post and they post, and they never, ever, 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 ever reply to anybody in those threads. That's another sign. You'll see it on YouTube, you'll see it on X, you see it everywhere. They love all the attention that they get, but they're too good for the room. They don't turn around and reply to anybody. They're too good. You're I don't reply to you peasants. Imagine that stupid fat piece of shit hillbilly asshole cat turd hiding behind a picture of a cat. And when he does put his picture up there of who he really is, he's wearing sunglasses, a dumbass cowboy hat, and he's like basically wearing a fucking disguise because he doesn't want anybody to find him in public and approach him in person. And he will not reply to anybody ever. Ever. And there's so many fake assholes like that. You people call me like call me whatever the fuck you want, but wherever it is, it's there or up there or down there. My real name is right in front of your fucking face. On YouTube, on I don't put my last name on X because it's so toxic. But I don't make it hard to find. 2 clicks of the mouse, boom, boom, you'll find it. One fucking Google search, done. You find everything, pretty much everything short of my actual mailing address and my physical location is easy to find. And you can find out. I openly say I live in Houston. Like I'm surprised I haven't been swatted yet. But like I'm out there. My real name is there. Here's my fucking face. Cat Turd does a podcast every fucking day with this chick. Neither one of these assholes will ever show you their face. I don't listen to it. There was a point in time. I give everybody a chance here and you know what I mean. Like I don't like that motherfucker because I gave him a chance and I found out he's just a piece of shit who changes his mind and says whatever people pay him to say. But I've listened to his podcast for a bit just to see who he was. And sometimes even these people that I don't like can be relatable at times. Or they'll tell you a story, a broken clock is right twice a day. So even these people I hate once in a while, they say something that I agree with. But I'm so sick and tired of all the fake assholes on the internet who just hide behind a fake thing. The ones that won't even, you got to really be skeptical of the ones that won't even show you their fucking face when they talk to you. There's a guy I listen to on occasion. If you, I don't believe in QAnon. It's a bunch of fucking bullshit. It's a psyop. Nobody's coming to arrest the fucking pedophiles and put them on trial and whatnot. There's all these fucking dipshits on X that tell you otherwise. And I troll the shit out of them. Julie Donuts is one. There's a couple others. I can't think of their names. And I just don't want to get on X right now and start like looking for this stuff to point them out to you. But where was I going with this? So, but they're out there telling you every single fucking one of these people that tell you QAnon is real. They don't even tell you their real fucking name and show you their face. They're just a bunch of fake assholes hiding behind some shit like they got some corporate job at fucking Chase Manhattan and they don't want to be known as an internet conspiracy theorist because they're afraid to lose their job, so they got to hide behind a fake personality with a fake name and never show their face, and nobody knows their real name and this, that, and the other thing. And it's fucking annoying. Like I can't take these people. I don't, it's like I listen to a lot of different people from all walks of life. And then I listen to both sides of the story. I tend to make up my own mind after I've heard both sides. But the fake ones like that, I can't. At least Laura Loomer, I mean, her face is all fake and covered in plastic surgery and whatnot. but at least, I'm assuming her last name is not actually Loomer. Her first name's probably not even Laura. It's probably a fake name. But at least she puts her plastic surgery face in front of the camera, and has some sort of even though I can't stand that psychotic nut job bitch, but every now and then I can agree with something that she says here and there. I wouldn't want to be friends with these people though. Um, so many of them though. So there's one in particular that's coming to mind, the QAnon retards, the ones that are always, oh, just 2 more weeks and Trump's going to arrest all the pedophiles. They're going down. The people that rigged the 2020 election are going to prison and blah blah fucking blah. Like, dude, it has been 10 fucking years. Remember when Donald Trump was in a debate with Hillary Clinton and he said, if I was president, you'd be in jail? You do know that that was 10 fucking years ago is when he said that. It's been 10 years since he told her, if I was the president, you'd be in jail. Well, where the fuck? What the fuck, bitch? What are you waiting for, Donald? What are you waiting for? It's been 10 fucking years. You've been president twice. She's not in jail. She's living her best life. What? Oh, and then the QAnon, the only excuse that they have are these things take time. Yeah, it's been 10 fucking years. How much more time? How much more? They didn't need 10 years to break down my fucking door with a tank and put me in federal prison for a Twitter post. I posted the shit on Tuesday and I was in prison on Friday. Are you telling me, but it takes 10 years to do it when it's Hillary Clinton? Because these things take time. The fuck out of here. They take time when you're rich and you're not actually ever going to get in trouble. But when you're poor, it takes about 5 fucking minutes to build a case against you and go and do the arrest. It takes 10 fucking minutes. They had the fucking warrant Thursday and they decided to come to my house Friday night. I posted the shit on like Tuesday and Wednesday, and I was in the clink being tortured by the FBI Friday night. These things take time. Oh yeah, QAnon. Keep talking your fucking shit, you fucking assholes, fucking idiots. These things take time. Yeah, when you're broke, when you're poor, they don't take time at all. But the only people who can beat a federal case are people who can pay $2 million for each lawyer on their team, and that's for like a jaywalking charge. So the QAnon guy, there's this guy. Let's bring up his website. You may have heard this guy. Here, I'll find it. This guy. Here's his fucking website. I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy, X22 Report. It's another one of these fucking people I'm talking about. Calls himself Dave. Never showed his face once. Not one. This guy's been doing these fucking videos for 10 fucking years now. Let's look him up on Rumble. Here, see how many followers he's got. He's got 800. Dude. He's got 816,000 followers on Rumble. On Rumble, where it's impossible to grow your audience. Uncovering the truth right there at the fucking banner. He's uncovering the truth. Motherfucker's never even told you his name. How is he uncovering any of the fucking truth if he won't even tell you who he is? He's hiding behind he's never shown his face once. I've tried to find out who the fuck is this guy. Nobody fucking knows who he is. He just puts out these fucking videos about, and it's all the same shit. Couple more weeks, all the pedophiles are going to get arrested. Just 2 more weeks. He does interviews with famous people. He had General Flynn on for an interview. He has, let's see who else he's interviewed lately. He does these fucking interviews. He gets like big names to come on this show and interview. Um, I'm just looking to see if there's any that stand out. He's got 800,000 followers on fucking Rumble out of all the platforms and you can't get famous on Rumble unless you're like, and nobody knows who this guy has never showed his face once. Not one fucking time has he ever showed his face, told you his name, told you anything about him, but he's uncovering the truth. Get the fuck out of here. You're not uncovering the fucking truth if you won't even tell us your fucking name or put your face in front of the fucking camera, dude. I don't think he disguises his voice with a fucking filter. Maybe he does, but I don't think he goes to that depth. But I don't know. I'm like, this shit is fucking crazy. And there's so many of these fucking people in that QAnon movement. And then a lot of these people, like Cat Turd, was talking shit about Alex Jones. And I'm not like the biggest Alex Jones fan. I have liked a lot of his stuff over the years. I think he's funny sometimes. I think he's way too animated. I think he does more harm than good in a lot of ways, but a lot of people woke up because they started listening to Alex Jones. But then a lot of people move on from, like, Alex Jones is like one of the pathways of waking up, going from ignorant or being a Republican or a Democrat to realizing the whole thing's fucking like taking the blinders off and seeing for the first time. He's one of the pathways that you can get there from. But once you start to really wake up, you're going to look at Alex Jones and be like, yeah, he's some sort of fucking operative too. Like, you can't even believe him anymore. And so he can wake you up and teach you some things, but then you're going to move on from that. As you wake up and as you get more and more awake, you're going to leave him behind. But I still, every now and then I still listen to the guy. But the one thing I can respect is he's out there. His face is in front of the fucking camera. He started out on public access television in Austin and I mean, granted, maybe he was Bill Hicks. Maybe it was a fucking op. Maybe he is part of the CIA and the whole thing is a staged operation. I could believe that too. Bill Hicks died, and all of a sudden, this dude Alex Jones showed up, who kind of looks like him and sounds like him, and I don't know. That whole thing is kind of funny, but at least he's like not this fucking X-22 guy who won't even show a face. You're supposed to listen to this fucking dude. But here, look at this. His latest video, his newest video. Oh no, that was 2 months ago. So let's see what the 231,000 views on a fucking video. You don't get that play. You don't get play like that unless you're picked. But like, somebody is promoting this guy and putting him out there. 4 hours ago, he's got a video from 4 hours ago, 56,000 views. In 4 hours, 56,000 views. But all right. I mean, I've listened to this guy here and there. I haven't listened to it for probably well over a year, but every now and then I'm like, whenever I'm wondering in my mind, what are these QAnon fucking retards talking about this week? Because, ain't seen no arrests yet. What's their excuse this week? I go and listen to this guy to find out what the excuses are and what the bullshit that they're talking about is. And then there's a couple people on X, like I said, when I want to know what the Q retards are talking about, I just go and see what they're saying. Oh, just some more fucking bullshit. How about that? Oh, yeah, those tribunals are happening any day now, huh? 2 more weeks, they say. It's like Lucy holding the fucking football for Charlie Brown. How many more times is Charlie Brown gonna fall for that shit before he just kicks the bitch in the face? That shit would have happened to me like twice. If she yanked that ball away from me for the third time, I'd just kicked her in the face like it was the fucking World Cup, and I was going for the ball. I was just, oh, I don't deserve a red card for that. I was going for the ball. I just happened to kick the bitch in the face. Well, she shouldn't have yanked it away from me like that. That's why she got kicked in the face, because the ball was by her face. With Charlie Brown, he just falls for that shit 30 fucking years every time. She's like, I'll let you kick the ball this time, Charlie Brown. And he's like, okay, Lucy, here I come. He falls on his ass. That's QAnon. That's QAnon. Every fucking week, QAnon's like, we're going to get them. We're going to round up the Epstein clients are going to prison. Here comes Charlie Brown to kick the ball. Whoop, boom, falls on his ass. Oh, 2 more weeks. We'll do all this time. We mean it. Been saying that shit for 10 fucking years. This QAnon shit's been going on for 10 fucking years, telling all these fucking idiots that the child molesters and the billionaires and all the people that fucking did all the crimes are going to get rounded up and go to prison. It's been 10 fucking years. What, 2 more weeks? 2 more weeks. Okay, Lucy. Yeah, I'll come and kick the ball. You're gonna let me kick it this time, huh? Sure, bitch. Oh my god, I can't stand it. I can't stand these people that fall for that dumb shit. And all the people that are giving you this information, this inside information, QAnon himself is just a random fucking shit on a backwoods message board that nobody you ever, oh my god, have you ever tried to get on 4chan or any of those? That fuck. You don't want to. Number one. And number two, like, oh my god, it's so fucking like some guy just posting a bunch of cryptic shit like Nostradamus predictions, and all these fucking people running around like that meme. Um, this is basically what the QAnon people look like when they're trying to explain it to you. They're like this guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Just like, well, when QAnon posted this post, and then look at Donald Trump's post, and look at the third word of his post, and look at the time that he posted it, and it all connects to this, and all the Epstein clients are going to prison next week because we connected all the dots and figured it out. It's like, and then it's 10 fucking years. It's been 10 years since Donald Trump said he was putting Hillary Clinton in jail. She ain't in jail. So keep talking your fucking shit. Keep talking your shit, you fucking Q retards. I'm so tired of it, dude. Um, I don't even like, how did I even get here to this topic? Because we start here and we end up somewhere, we end up in like outer space. Um, but that's how it goes on this live stream. It's been 2 hours, 8 minutes so far. I'm going to thank all of you. Most of you are the OGs coming over to say what's up, and it's always good to hear from you guys. Um, I haven't checked the channel memberships, but I'm assuming it's probably the same as it's been for a while. Here's the channel members that I saw the last time I looked to see how many channel members there are. Angels in our midst, Blue Sky Oddball, Keyrod 1000, Alex and Analog, Jared Smith, and we know JS. The other JS is also in the house. He's one of the OGs, an original channel member. If you want to join, you just hit that next to where you hit the subscribe button. You'll see there's a join button right there. Just hit that, and it's like $2 a month. And I'm not even like, do it or don't. If you want to support what I'm doing here, I'm always appreciative of that. Everything helps. In fact, I'm probably going to do like an appreciation show one of these days, or just I'm always shouting out. I don't like, I know people don't like to be doxxed and whatnot, but people have dropped money in the digital chicken bucket, whether it's a dollar. I swear to God, there was a guy who dropped $1,000 in there once and helped a brother out big time. And that was when and then there was another guy at the same time who wanted to give me a car. And this other guy was like, "Hey, that guy wants to give you a car. I'll give you the money." And I was like, "Holy shit." The problem, it wasn't a problem, but what happened was right at the exact same time is when that slumlord was trying to scam me, and I had to scramble and find a new place to live, like, quick. I had I had like less than a month to find a place to live when all that was going on. And I found a place and I put the money down on the place, and that guy had done that to the digital chicken bucket right about the exact same time that I was moving. And so the way I saw it was the guy wanted me to get that car, but here I am in the middle of this move and money. When you move, any of you move, you know what it's like. You move, and your life gets flipped upside down. You think, okay, I need this money for my first month's rent, my security deposit, hooking up utilities, whatever the hell else is gonna, and then money just goes and goes and goes. I got to rent a van. I got to do this. I got to do that. Oh, I don't have this. I don't have that. I need this. I need that. I can't do my laundry. I had to get a washing machine and blah blah blah. And this, and it just kept for like the first 2 months. It's just nonstop. And moving is always like that. Every time I've ever moved, that's what it is. And I know this. So that chicken bucket, like, for the first 2 months that I lived here, it made my life very comfortable in terms of not stressing about money. I mean, it was, my rent was a little bit less than that, but it helped me move very seamlessly and very smoothly without having to be super stressed out. And it allowed me the peace of mind to get settled in here, do the things that had to be done, and get my feet on the ground so that and yeah, I still had to ride my bicycle to the bakery all the time and all that stuff. Um, and then, through the grace of God, God provided me with a way to get a car. Like within, like, I moved here on the first weekend of June, and it was like the first week of August when the money fell out of the sky to get the car. And the guy who wanted to give away the car was holding it for me. And I said, "Look, I just need another." I was just going to save up the money over a month or so and then and then figure out how to get the car sent here. But then when this other option came into play, I just came to the conclusion, I'm like, not that I didn't trust this guy who had the car who wanted to give it away. It was more of just, there were two things that I didn't trust. It wasn't that I didn't trust the guy over who wanted to send me a car. It was, uh, I didn't know how to do it, how to like set all this up. And okay, you schedule a guy with a semi truck or whatever to go pick up a car and deliver it to you. How do I know I'm not going to get scammed by that guy? And now, if you recall, the previous landlord, that the slumlord that I was renting from, who I found out was a multiple time convicted felon, did all these different scams, started up a bunch of fake businesses, took money from people, and then never did the thing that he said he would. And one of his fake businesses was a trucking company, specifically a trucking company that would go and pick up cars and deliver cars across state lines. And so that's in the like, I knew that this guy pulled a scam, and there were all these like Yelp reviews, people talking about how I scheduled this guy to go get this car, And I never heard from him again. He took my money and disappeared. I lost about $1,000, and all this shit is on my mind. And I'm like, I'm not opposed to trying to get a car delivered to me from this other state and bring it here, especially if a guy wants to give it away. And it was like a mid 90s Honda. Those are like the most reliable cars made. It was like a Honda Civic, or it was a Honda Accord from like the mid 90s. Shit, those cars don't die. Um and he sent me pictures of it, and we talked back and forth. But then when that money came into my purview, I was like, I can just get a car that I can look at myself and see with my own eyes. And when I did buy a car, the person that I bought it from brought it to my house. We did the title exchange in front of the place. Like, I had the keys in my hand, the car was here after the money was left my hands. So there was, whatever with the car, that the car has been problematic. I've talked about that. But aside from that, I was able to get a car that I saw, that I didn't have to worry about, everything that could go wrong with getting it from point A to B and bringing it here sight unseen, all that. And so it all worked out in the end. But so many times I was thinking about this week, that I have been kind of like, I want to say it like the last minute, or I've just been really down, as anybody would be. You just got out of federal prison for 2 years for a Twitter post, and now you're living homeless. You're in the street. You're homeless after the fact, wondering how the fuck are you going to put your life back together now? And so many times people would just show up out of the blue to help me out, that, like, without that I wouldn't be where I am right now. And I'm telling you, it could have been something small. There were times where I was like, when I was homeless, I still had bills to pay because I was trying to put my life back together. So I tried to use all the free software I could get my hands on, but I still needed to use Photoshop and some other apps. So I had to pay for that. It's like $70 a month for an Adobe subscription. And so I'm like, how the hell am I going to pay for my Adobe subscription this month? A homeless guy got to figure out how to pay for his Adobe subscription. Like, just put, my life is not the same as anybody else's. Let's just say that. But then all of a sudden, I'd wake up and there'd be a chicken bucket donation out of the blue, that somebody dropped money in the chicken bucket. And I'm like, well, there's my money for my Adobe subscription today. And these things happen all the time. And I'm trying to think of another example that's specific. Like Tim Hortons. I would go to Tim Hortons and sit in Tim Hortons all day long to use their Wi-Fi, because I wasn't allowed to sit in the homeless shelter all day and the library would be closed. So the only place that I knew to go where I could use Wi-Fi all day was Tim Hortons, but I'd have to buy coffee and stuff all day. You can't just, like, they're not just going to let you sit there all day, but you can buy, like, I could buy an iced coffee and sit there for like 4 hours. But I'd go and spend money at Tim Hortons and I'd be like, "Oh my god, I just dropped like $15 at Tim Hortons today. What am I how?" And I'd feel guilty about it. And then like a day later, $15 would show up in the chicken bucket. I'm not kidding. Like, these things would happen all the time. Another random one. Um, you see behind me, I've got this water filter. How do I, the camera? Okay, it's that right there, that silver thing. That chrome thing that you see there is a gravity fed water filter. It's not Berkey, but it's pretty much a Berkey water filter. And when I was living on my own, in that dumbass tool shed that you all saw, if you were watching the videos back then, the water was awful. The water was terrible. And the only way I could go grocery shopping was to put on a backpack and walk a mile to the grocery store. And I'm carrying like 60 pounds of groceries back home in a backpack, but I didn't, water. I'm not going to buy bottled water. And so, but that was a problem for right off the bat. As soon as I moved, I'm like, oh shit, what am I going to do about water? And so within a week or two of moving into that place, I forget what that thing cost. I think it was like I'm going to look it up. I bought it on Amazon, so I can look up exactly what it cost as I talk. But I looked at the different options. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos as to like which brand of water filter is the best one because a Berkey is like hundreds of dollars. Berkey is outrageously expensive. I used to have one, and this one is the brand is Purewell. And I watched a bunch of videos where they view order details. Okay. Yeah, so I watched a bunch of videos where they compared all these different brands of water filters, and one of them actually went and got the water tested from each gravity filter, the Purewell, Berkey, and about 6 other brands. And there's tons of these brands. And the Purewell came in second place. To the Berkey was first place, Purewell was second place. But a Berkey system that size with the 2 filters and everything would have been like $400. This was $139.63. So I was like, decision was made. I mean, I can't afford 400. I couldn't even afford $140. And so here I'd only been living in that tool shed for like maybe 2 weeks, but the water problem was already a problem. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent next month. And everything was super tight and scary and everything else. And so I just bit the bullet. I'm like, I need clean water. I'm riding a bicycle every day, 50 miles to go to this job. Like, I need clean water. Like, that's probably the most important thing I need right now. So I just sucked it up. I spent the $140 on this water filter. And after I hit the buy button, I sat back in my chair and I'm like, oh God, how am I gonna pay my rent at the end of the month? I got 2 more weeks to figure out how I'm gonna pay all my bills, right? And I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. 5 minutes later, after I hit that button in Amazon to buy that water filter. In fact, here, if you want to help out the channel, click this link. Let me hit this button here. This is the link to the water filter. If you click that link and then you buy something on Amazon within the next 24 hours, I get like 50 cents or whatever. It doesn't cost you anything, but that's the link to the water filter I bought using my affiliate. Um, but anyway, I bought that water filter, and 5 minutes after I bought it and was feeling guilty about it, like, oh, should I have waited until after I pay my rent next month? Because I'd only been there a couple of weeks, and if I'm late on the rent, oh my God, I don't know what I'm gonna deal with. This guy seems a bit shady, blah blah blah. This and just everything. Oh, I was a little bit nervous. So I bought this water filter, and 5 minutes later, someone dropped money in the digital chicken bucket, the almost the exact same amount of money I spent, like $150. Somebody just dropped $150 into the chicken bucket out of nowhere, like out of nowhere. And 5 minutes after I bought the water filter and was wondering how I'm gonna the money went out of my account and went right back in. Like the next morning when I woke up, my bank account was the same as it was the day before, except I had a water filter coming to my house. So I lost. So it was like the money just I spent it and it came right back. And I'm like these things, people have helped me out along the way so many times to get where I am. And I'm not happy where I am right now, but I don't forget these things. I don't forget that if it weren't for the kindness of others, I wouldn't be here. Um, I try to pay it back. I try to pay it forward. Financially, I'm not in a good position right now, but like random here's a random story from a couple of weeks ago. I'm not saying like like Adam's a good guy. I'm not telling you this to make myself sound like some goody goody guy who's a good person or anything. It's just a story. Um, let's see here. Hold on, I gotta tweak it. There, okay. Anyway, so I saw a car pull into the driveway where I live out of my kitchen window one day, and they were blocking the driveway. Like if anybody, it was a random car, didn't know who it was, and they were blocking the driveway so that if anybody else needed to get in or out, they were um, SOL. And so I went outside because I'm like, something's going on. And then I saw person had a flat tire on the front of the car. And so I went outside. I went up because the person was on her phone or whatever. And I knocked on the window. I'm like, hey, you need some help. And she was like, oh my God, uh, yeah, I got a flat tire, blah, blah, blah. Well, this was beyond a flat tire fix. Let me just, I don't know how much detail to get into here, but it was way more than a flat tire. You're basically you're looking at somebody who has a car that they don't take care of at all. At all. The tire was gone. The tire was shredded, like literally in shreds. But you could tell that this person had not probably that they were what this girl was driving on a car where the tires were so bald that the steel belt was the steel casing was exposed and there was no more rubber on the tire. And then she tried telling me that that tire was brand new a week ago, and I'm like, ah, no, 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 no. That tire was not new a week ago. And so I'm like, do you have a spare tire in your trunk? Do you have a jack? No. She had a spare tire in the trunk, no jack or anything else. So I'm like, hold on, I'll be right back. I go grab my portable jack. I grabbed some other tools and came up. So, first problem, this car was in really, really bad shape. Um, couldn't get the lug nuts off the wheel. I broke my lug nut wrench. Like my lug nut wrench snapped while I was trying to take the lug nuts off her car. And so, I mean, I'm kind of glad that it happened because it was kind of nice to find out that my lug nut wrench was a piece of shit before it broke on my car when I'm stranded on the side of the road with a flat tire. So, you know, JS says no good deed goes unpunished. Well, I didn't look at that as a punishment. I looked at it as a real world test of my prepping and found out that I needed a better lug nut wrench before it actually caused me a problem. So so a random neighbor saw what was going on, came across the street, said, "Oh, I've got a lug nut wrench." Went back to her house, came over, and it was all rusty and it was a total piece of shit. But we put this, it was like one of the T handled, traditional 4-way lug nut wrench. And we had to put this fucking lug nut wrench on this car and I had to jump up and down on the wrench, like jump up and down on it to get the brake, to get the bolts to break off so that we could get the wheel off the car. So now we've got the car jacked up. We've got the wheel off. I go to put the spare tire on. Had no air in it. I had a portable air compressor, really nice one. It's handheld. It's a cool ass air compressor, and so I put the air in the tire, put it on, and the fucking spare tire is not for that car. The bolt pattern's not the same, so you can't put it on. So there's no front wheel. I'm like, honey, I don't know what to do now because I ain't got no spare tire that's gonna fit this car for you. Like if I did, I probably would have said you can borrow it. But my Volkswagen spare tire is not gonna fit on a Ford something or other. Like I have lug bolts, not lug nuts. So like that's not even the same. They're totally not the same. And so I'm like, I don't know what to fucking do. So anyway, this girl, car's all jacked up, still blocking the driveway. I'm covered in dirt and grime, and I've got cuts on my hands from the steel shards sticking out of the old tire. She was able to get a hold of someone that she knows, and they left the house, where they left the car in front of my place, drove over to a tire shop with the wheel, like got there like 10 minutes before they closed and got a new tire put on. They came back with the wheel with a tire on it. And so when all is said and done, I put the wheel back on the car, put the lug nuts on, tightened it all down, whatever. And this woman, she was very thankful. Oh my God, thank you so much for your help. I don't know what I would have done if you and I guess it was her sister that came to help, but nobody. It took one, two, three. It took three people coming out of their house to come help this girl who driving around on a tire that like, oh my God, if you saw the condition of this tire, like, well, duh. She probably drove it a mile, like shredded before she pulled over, realizing that she wouldn't be able to get home by just driving on a bare metal rim. I don't know, but it was bad. Totally not prepared in any way, shape, or form for that. And somehow we got it all done. I mean, this was like 2 hours out of my day by the time it was all said and done. Um, this wasn't like a 15-minute, here, I'll help you change your flat tire. You can get on your merry way. This was like 2 hours out of my day. And so, like, the random, like, it's one of those things like in her situation, she just happened to break down in front of the right place. So that, like, she just happened to be at the right place at the right time, and help just showed up as needed because came to the good people showed up and helped. Three different people got involved, and in between everybody, we're able to get this chick back on the road. And I never saw her again, and that's fine. Um, and so I've had like that's what I'm saying. Like if I see somebody who needs like help, I would have a hard time just like walking away from it. If I see somebody on the bicycle trail, which I have more than once, somebody's got a flat tire. I see somebody walking their bike, they've got a flat tire. I'm gonna be like, hey, I can fix your flat tire right now if you don't want to walk it home. This has happened more than once. I've fixed a few people's bikes on the fly just because I see pulled over on the side of the trail. I know there's something going on. I see them walking their bike. They got that look about them, or I just see that their tires flopping around. I can fix this. I can fix my own flat tire in 5 minutes or less and be back on my merry way. Like, it doesn't really honestly, when I look at my overall time of travel, I go on an 80-mile bicycle ride. If I had a flat tire change in there, I've lost like 10 minutes out of my ride. You know what I mean? It adds 10 minutes. I give myself enough time to get to my destination to accommodate for a possible thing like that. But anyway, so yeah, I see somebody on the side of the trail or whatever. I'll stop and fix their bike. Um, like I couldn't just like it doesn't cost me anything. Oh, an inner tube patch, or a tube. If I had the right size inner tube, which I probably don't, but I have everything I need. A CO2 cartridge. Oh no, psst, psst, I got two flat tires. Like in a span of 4,000 miles, I can spare a CO2 cartridge. You know what I mean? When I get home, I'll take the spent one out, put a fresh one in. I'm ready to go for my next ride. Um, but I've had people like tell me, "Oh, I'm good. My house is just up the road. I'm just walking. I'm just gonna walk home." Blah blah blah. And so yeah, but this was kind of like that with that woman who I was expecting like 15 minutes, fix this girl's car tire, change her wheel, she can go on her merry way. And then whoever's coming to and fro out of this driveway here, the car is gonna be blocking the driveway. But that's not why I did it because I just, I'm like, I see this girl, she's stuck on the side of the road. Um, but yeah, I found out my lug nut wrench snapped, just pop, broke. And so I bought a replacement. It was kind of expensive, but I got it's like a compact wrench that fits in a little pouch, but you can put it together and it creates a four-way wrench that looks like a traditional lug nut wrench, with the T-bar kind of a wrench, but you can use it in different configurations. Plus, it has a converter so you can put sockets on it. So it also doubles as a high torque socket wrench that I can put any size socket in my toolbox that's in the back of my car. And if I really need to like torque on something and put a lot of leverage to get something off, I have this. It doubles that as a lug nut wrench and a high torque wrench that you can use to get something unstuck. But it all because of that situation out in front of my house. Um, and so like being at the right place at the right time, something goes wrong, but you happen to be sitting at the right place at the right time, like the day that I was sitting at the park in Jamestown. I used to talk to you guys about how this dude would show up every morning to walk his dog. And I'd make like funny jokes about how, oh, it's probably someone in the FBI coming to spy on me. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's walking his dog, right? But it was every morning I would see this guy, but that's his routine. He's usually down at there. He's taking the dog for a walk at the park before he does his thing in the morning at his bar, which unbeknownst to me at the time, I didn't know anything about him. Every now and then I'd be like, hey, what's up? That kind of thing. Well, this one morning I'm walking to the bench where I'm shooting the videos, and his dog comes running at me off the leash and jumps up on me. And I'm like, hey, buddy, how you doing? I'm petting the dog. And he comes up to me and he's like, oh, sorry, man. She's real, don't have to worry, like dog owners do. Oh, she's real friendly, she won't hurt, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, we're good. I'm petting the dog. I wasn't mad about it. But he's all apologizing and whatnot for the dog jumping up on me. Well, we get to talking, and he was like, oh my God, I need somebody who does what you do. And the next like 2 days later, I've got a check in my hand and I'm doing work for this guy, and I'm working for him today, to this day. And like it just fell out of the sky, out of nowhere. I had the day before, I had no idea what I was going to do. And the next day I had clients. And things are still not easy. Like they're just they're not, I'm not like I'm definitely not doing well financially, but I can say I'm doing a hell of a lot better than I was the day I got to Houston. And I'm doing a hell of a lot better than homeless. So, I do keep these things in mind, but I wouldn't be here if it was my own doing, is the point I'm making here. You never know. Point is, yeah, I'm an asshole sometimes, but I try to be good. I try to do the right thing. Um, and I know from experience that I wouldn't be here where I am right now if it weren't for good people showing up out of the blue to help a brother out when I needed help. And I hope I can do more as I put my life together. I hope I can do something good to put that back out there. I don't know what it's going to be. I looked in, I was talking about doing bicycles for the homeless, and then I found a group here in Houston that does that. And it's organized, and they have a big workshop that they do it in, and they get bikes donated, and they have a group of people fix them up, and they when they give them to homeless people or needy people, they give them a bicycle and a helmet and locks and basic tools and patch kits and the whole package, which is important because you give somebody a bike but they can't fix a flat tire. I mean, w- you know, if you gave a homeless guy a bike but he can't fix a flat tire, what happens when he gets a flat tire? Is he gonna sell the bike for a bag of crack, or is he gonna, what I mean? Like, is it gonna, or is he just gonna throw it in the river and be done with it? Be like, fuck it, I can't fix this, or like, what's gonna happen? You gotta go. I think you got to do a little more, and give people a bicycle that's the right size for them. This group does that. I saw their website. I looked. I saw their videos. I saw different things. I tried to get in touch with them. I never heard back. I could try again. I mean, it wasn't like I tried like one time, sent a few emails, tried to contact different people, never heard back. Now, here's another example. If that just takes you full circle back to the beginning of the topic of tonight. I didn't hear back. Does that mean they don't check their email very often? Does it mean that they're busy? Does it mean that they forgot to respond to me? Or does it mean that they looked me up on Google and saw that I'm a piece of shit convicted felon who, went to federal prison for a Twitter post and decided we don't want to associate with him? Like my mind went to there. That was the first place my mind went was, oh, they don't want anything to do with me because I'm a piece of shit scumbag convicted felon who went to prison for a Twitter post. They definitely don't want to be associated with me. But that was what my mind made up. The fact was they didn't respond. I even told them, I'm like, I can show up to one of your bike building days and I can bring all my own tools in a work stand so you don't even have to like I might need to borrow a tool here and there, but I can work on bikes all day with the tools I can bring in the trunk of my car. That was one of the things I said. I said I've got a portable work stand, tool bag full of tools. I work on bikes all the time. I worked in bike shops from the time I was like I think it was 15 years old until I was like 22. And been racing and riding bikes ever since. Owned my own bike shop for a short period of time. Didn't get into the details of what that was, but I've told the story more than once on here. But when I've also applied to 1,000 jobs and been turned down and been hired at 5 to 10 different companies that turned around and told me to go fuck myself after they did a background check and looked me up on Google and saw what happened. So that my mind does. Somebody put in the comments, it's hard to scroll because this app's a piece of trash. Um, Somebody said something. I gotta scroll up. JS says sometimes we think the worst because enough times it happens, it just confirms the bias. So I assume now, whenever I apply for a job of any kind, that I'm going to get rejected because I'm a convicted felon piece of shit who went to prison for a tweet. And because I've applied to 1,000 jobs and I've been hired at like 10 and been rejected from all 10 for that reason, and probably rejected from many, many more after they did a Google search without unbeknownst to me. But I mean, how many times can you apply for 1,000 jobs and get zero? Like, I stopped counting after it. I don't even give a fuck. I'm not going to count it anymore. I'm really not even trying to find a job anymore, even though I know that a job in my field doing what I used to do would solve a lot of problems quick and easy and make the rest of my probation go smooth. Allow me to get a better car, it do different things, but I'm kind of convinced that God doesn't want me to do it for lots of different reasons. And just leave it at that. But I might like the point is my mind always jumps to the same story instantly. I don't think about it. It's not like I contemplate this and then my mind says, "Okay, this is what must be going on." It's a reflex. It happens in the blink of an eye. My mind just automatically goes to that story that may or may not be real, and I just latch onto that. And so yeah, I don't even know like okay, so I had another experience last week that go yeah, I got 15 minutes left before at the I think I'm going to quit in 3 hours tonight. Or wherever I'm going to talk about this new thing, this other part of this same topic. I got a strange phone call and I'm still like, what the F was this? I don't want to get into the details. I don't want to tell you what I think it could have been or anything like that, but it was a strange phone call from a number that made absolutely no sense, but it had like I was like, "What?" Like I paid attention to it because of the phone number and where it was from. And it was like, if this is what I'm thinking it could be, holy shit, and it made me panic. Like I honestly the last time I had a panic attack that bad, even my car breaking down didn't do it. I'm trying to think of like the last time I had a panic attack like that may have been when I was told that I'm about to be homeless. Like when my ex actually kicked me out of the house and told me to get the fuck out. You can go be homeless, you fucking piece of shit, blah blah blah, whatever. I'm actually like homeless now. The amount of trauma and stress that that inflicted, that was very, oh my god, it was close to that. Probation being up my ass couldn't even do it. This phone call rocked me and I'm still not over it. But they never left a message. I called the number back. Like I called the place that this phone number came from and nobody could tell me. Like they're like, "We don't have any idea why you got this phone call. We can't tell you, like we don't know." It does like none of it made any sense. I tried to like it rocked me so bad I tried to figure out what the hell's going on. And I talked to like 5 different people that day and nobody was like, "We have no fucking idea why you got this phone call from here." And they didn't leave a message. But it was like it made no sense. It made no sense at all. And so I'm like, I couldn't even like it was just strange, very strange. But it prompted me to do some things that I've been putting off for a bit. And So I took care of those things over the weekend and I felt good about it. I don't feel good about it, but it helped me do some things that I needed to do. And so I was like, okay, maybe Jesus, maybe that was the Lord's way of getting me to do something that I needed to do. And so I'm not, like I said, I'm not gonna get into the details on this one, but um I'm not 100% convinced that it was nothing, but I haven't heard anything since, and that was last week, and I still haven't the number has not showed up on my caller ID again. And I'm kind of like, if it was what I thought it was, somebody would have left a message. You wouldn't just call somebody and then hang up without leaving a message for something like that. And I'm like, so, but it was weird. It was very fucking strange. And but once again, mind goes to, when you expect the worst and you live like that, which I do. I don't want to, but I do. And the problem is, I don't want to live like that, but there really isn't, like, I can't stop that. I can't there's nothing I can do about that. That's just how my brain is wired. And there's probably a level of that that's going to be worse for the rest of my life, just because, when the FBI shows up at your house at midnight and drives a tank through the front door, that and then you go to prison for 2 years for a fucking tweet. It's going to fuck you up in the head. No matter, I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. You're never going to be able to, like, live a normal life after that. It's like, it's like any trauma that somebody goes through. You're fucked for life. It's how can you set it aside and just do the best you can, even though this is there, and it's never going to go away. um JS says hearing my sentencing would have killed me metaphorically. By the time you get sentenced, you've already been through it. They drag that shit out. There's people that they put in jail for 5 fucking years without going to a courtroom once. So the way the federal government works is they arrest you, they figure out, like, this is how much time we think they should be in jail, and then they keep you in jail. And then they just drag out your fucking court case a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever they think that you should get. So that by the time you get a trial, even if you're found not guilty, you've already done the time in jail that you would have done if you were guilty. But then what they do is, so in my case, I had been in jail for, what was it? It was 14 months. I was in jail for 14 months before I ever saw the inside of a courtroom. Um, and then your option is, if you go to trial, shit, I would have sat in jail for another year waiting for a trial, because the lawyers would play their games. Oh, we got a motion to continue. We need more time for this. We continuance that, objection this, that, file this motion, that motion, the other thing. It just drags on and on and on. I would have sat in jail for over 2 years just waiting for a trial. But then they go, oh, well, if you plead guilty, you might be able to go home now. You plead guilty. So, and then so they put it in front of you. They give you a plea deal, which is what they think you should do, and what the sentence they think you should actually get. But if you say no and you decide to go to trial because you think you're innocent or whatever, when you're found guilty, and it's not, it's like 98%. I think it's like 85 to 90% found guilty at trial. I can talk about that for a few minutes because I've got an example of that. We all know. Um, when you're found guilty at trial, that plea deal that they offered you 2 years, that gets thrown away and you end up getting 10 years because they punish you for having the audacity to waste the court's time with a trial when you could have just confessed, signed your confession, and gotten a lighter punishment. So they try to discourage people from going to trial by making sure that whenever somebody does go to trial and they're found guilty, the sentence that they get will be like 5 times worse than any deal they would have signed, which is supposed to scare anybody else from going into that courtroom and demanding a trial. The whole thing is fucked. The whole thing is a complete fucking disaster. And so we can stop talking about that for a minute. But the presumption of guilt, we were talking about that already. Like earlier today, I was talking about how the right wing influencers on X, they all were talking. Okay, so January 6th, all those people deserve a pardon. They shouldn't have gone to jail, according to the influencers on the right. But anybody who got caught pulling a piece of peeled up paint from the pool in DC, they should get 20 years in prison. Why? Because they're guilty. Duh. Of course they're guilty. Where's the evidence? They're guilty. That's the evidence. Just look at them. You ever see the movie Idiocracy? That's the fucking courtroom that they're going to. Just fucking look at him. He's guilty. Um, so you got this dude that may or may not have killed Charlie Kirk. And they had some hearings a few weeks ago. So when all the right wing influencers stopped talking about the fucking pool and the vandalism on the pool, that, the shoddy job that Trump's pool guy did, that they're trying to blame on vandalism. Um, they all stopped talking about that on the very same day. All these paid operatives switched over to that guy's court case who may or may not have shot Charlie Kirk. And every single one of these influencers was saying, he's guilty, he's guilty. And they're listing all this evidence saying he was guilty. And I'm like, none of you have seen any of this evidence. There was one piece of evidence that they said they saw, that you can go and see the actual videotape from the courtroom where the judge and this one lawyer were saying it doesn't even exist. But all these operatives on Twitter, the right wing operatives, were saying they saw the evidence that the judge and the lawyer said didn't even exist. When you actually went and watched the actual video from the actual courtroom. And we're not even talking about the trial yet. This was just the preliminary hearings where they're trying to figure out what evidence was admissible and what evidence is inadmissible. This is not a trial yet. And this whole thing has like Lee Harvey Oswald and JFK written all over it. So if this kid killed Charlie Kirk, he has a better chance of surviving than if he's innocent. Because if he's innocent, they're going to kill him before the trial or during the trial. That'll be over. So honestly, his best scenario to live any more time in his life is if he's guilty. Because if he's innocent, they're going to kill him off like they do. I've got questions. I have seen I've seen all the videos, all the angles. My God, I saw his neck bleed out from every fucking angle under the sun. I've seen it all. I've seen all the conspiracy theory shit, and it's the same shit. Why did they hire a team to come put new concrete down and pave over the crime scene the very next day and just completely cover up the whole fucking crime scene so that there's no like evidence that any, you know what I mean? Like that's a little bit strange. They're saying that the kid shot Charlie Kirk, disassembled the gun, climbed, ran out, ran away, disassembled a gun that's not easy. He needed a screwdriver to take the gun apart, crammed it down into his pants or whatever, hit it in it somehow on his body, jumped off the roof of the building, ran down the way, reassembled the gun, put the gun back together and fucking screwed all the parts back together and reassembled the gun and left it in the fucking bushes for the cops to find fully assembled. These are all facts. These are all like, you can go fucking look this shit up yourself. This is what they're saying actually happened. Oh, yeah, I'm going to believe that. Yeah, sure. But you got all these paid operatives on Twitter just screaming at the top of their lungs, he's guilty, he's fucking guilty, kill him, he's guilty, kill him, hang him, give him the electric chair, guilty, 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 guilty. We saw the evidence, guilty, guilty. How can you see all this evidence and say that he's not guilty? What evidence did you see? You didn't fucking see any because they didn't show you any. And even in the courtroom, the actual court video that I saw, the piece of evidence that you're saying proves that he did it, that you said that you saw Gunther Eagleman, you fucking scumbag. Gunther Eagleman says, I saw the evidence. He needs to die. I went and watched the fucking video in the courtroom, and the judge and the one lawyer said that that evidence doesn't exist. So they're priming. Nobody's going to show up to be on that jury who believes that kid's innocent to begin with, or everybody that they get in that place to be on that jury is going to be like, that kid's guilty, he deserves to die. He's guilty and he deserves to die. Every single person that stands up to be on that jury when their name is called, he's guilty and he deserves to die. He's guilty and he deserves to die. He's guilty and he deserves to die. And they're not going to listen to a fucking word that anybody says in that trial because they've already made up their mind. They're like, let's get this shit over with so we can make him guilty and put him to death and go home. They're not going to listen to the case. The one thing in common, I got two more things to say and I'm out. The one thing in common that every single person that I saw in prison who went to trial and then went to prison after they were convicted, they all said the same exact thing. Their lawyer didn't try. Their lawyer basically worked with the prosecutor and just went along with whatever, didn't try to fight back. And number two, nobody on the jury paid any attention to the case and half of them fell asleep during the trial. My trial was 3 days. I would look over, half the people in the jury were sleeping. Nobody's listening to anything. Nobody's listening to the lawyers. They've already made up their mind. They deliberated for 5 minutes and came back with a guilty verdict. I believe it. When I was called, I lived in Mercer, Pennsylvania, a small town. And when you register to vote, I guess you're on that list for jury duty. And I lived there for 3 fucking years. I got called for jury duty 3 times. Or 6 years. I lived there about 6 years, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I lived there about 6 to 7 years. I got called up for jury duty like 3 times. All 3 times I saw the same thing happen. If you have bias, so when you stand up to get on the jury, before you go to jury duty, they give you a questionnaire to fill out. Or you have to write it. It's handwritten. And you either hand it to them when you get there or you mail it in through the mail. They give you, postage-free envelope to put it in. It's a questionnaire that's looking to see if you're biased. So they ask you questions like, are you more likely to believe a police officer's testimony because it's a police officer? Yes or no? Are you less likely to believe a police officer's testimony because they're a police officer? Yes or no? Well, if you ever get called up for jury duty and you want to go home, all you have to do is say, I am less likely to believe the testimony of a police officer because they're a police officer. And then it would ask you why. And I would say, because they're all a bunch of fucking liars and thieves. So I'm like, I'm going home, baby. Boom. I did that every time. Every single time I went to the jury duty, my name would get pulled every time out of the fucking tumbler. And I would be in the jury box sitting on one of the numbered seats. I'm juror number 12, juror number 6, whatever. And I'm sitting there on the jury. I'm on the jury. And when the lawyers get so what would happen is the judge would ask me, do you have any problem being partial, whatever? I would just say, no, I'm good. I can, because they'll tell you basically what the case is. And I'm like, I could listen to this. I'm thinking to myself, I could listen to both sides on this one and make up my mind. I would, a couple of times I thought the cops were full of shit. So I'm like, you know, I kind of regretted filling out the questionnaire like that a couple of times. But what would happen instantly is when the lawyers start looking at the questionnaires because they can strike people from the jury, I got sent home every time. You don't get in trouble for that. There's nothing they can do to you for saying what you say. Um, but the thing that I noticed was every single time out of those 3 times, anybody who got up and showed any anti-police bias, anybody who indicated in any way, shape, or form that they would be biased or less likely to believe a police officer because they don't trust cops, you were sent home immediately. Immediately. The judge would send you home, the lawyer would send you home, the prosecutor would send you home. You were gone right off the bat. No problem. And however, on the flip side, and I notice this every time, people would stand. Okay, one example, a woman got up and they were trying to feel if she was biased. And she said, look, I shouldn't be on the jury because I'm a corrections officer and I believe a lot of these people are guilty and I wouldn't be able to have an impartial mind. The judge sat there for 10 minutes trying to convince her to be on the jury. And she just kept saying, no, I'm going to be biased. I'm going to be biased. And he said, so you can't set it aside and just be on the jury and be impartial and only listen to the facts of the case. She's like, my job and the things that I see, she's like, I'm telling you right now, you don't want me on the jury. I'm biased. And she had to argue, and the judge, I'm telling you, this argument went on for 10 fucking minutes. All I had to do was check a box that said, I don't believe a police officer because I don't trust cops. You're going home. I watched other people say things like that. Boom, gone, gone, instantaneous. You can go home. No questions asked. Nobody's in trouble. No, the judge says, "Okay, sir, I believe you. You can go home. You're dismissed. We need people who can be impartial." So now the person who says, I can't be impartial because I'm a corrections officer, I work in a jail, and I see these people all the time, and I see the things they do, and I think that they're guilty, and I'm going to have a hard time with this. They're they spent 10 minutes trying to get this woman to recant what she said so that they could put her on the fucking jury, and they finally had to send her home because she wouldn't recant. And then another woman gets up. And when the judge asked her a question, I don't remember exactly what the question was, but the woman said, well, she looked like Sally Fields, this fucking old bat from the suburbs, probably lived a very sheltered life. She goes, "Well, I don't see why they wouldn't be guilty, because if they weren't guilty, why would they have gotten arrested? I mean, if they get arrested, doesn't that mean that they're guilty?" She made it to the jury. She was on the jury. She was on the final. I watched the whole fucking thing and I'm like, "Oh my god, they should send her home." No, the judge didn't have a problem with that at all. And he put her on the jury, and not only did he put her on the jury after she said, "Well, anybody who gets arrested is obviously guilty, because if they weren't guilty, why would they get arrested?" She was put in the jury box, she sat down in the fucking seat, and then on top of that, the fucking defense lawyer that's supposed to be helping the defendant did not strike her from the jury. He let her stay on the jury. I would have fired my lawyer right there. I would have said, I would have stood up and said, "Your Honor, I want to dismiss my lawyer. My lawyer's not doing a proper job defending me in this trial. I would like to delay. I would like to hire a different lawyer. I would like to find a different lawyer." You can fire a public defender and then they have to give you another public defender. They can't force you to use the public defender that they put on you if you stand up for yourself and you say that you don't want them to be your lawyer. They have to find you a different lawyer. What kind of fucking defense lawyer would let that juror stay on the jury after she openly said, "If you got arrested, that means you're obviously guilty"? But I noticed that. I noticed that every time I went to jury duty, which was only 3 times, but each time the people that expressed any bias, any hint of an anti cop, anti police, anti authority bias, they were immediately sent home. No fucking question about it. That's the quickest way to go home. If you don't want to be on jury duty, tell them you're biased and you don't trust the police, and they're going to send you home like that. And on the flip side, if you show bias that you think the person's automatically guilty no matter what, and you pretty much show the bias that you're not even going to listen to the case and you're just going to say they're guilty, you're going to be on that fucking jury. You're going to be on the fucking jury. I wasn't even trying to get sent home, because it's kind of like this weird thing, because I'm getting paid to be on, I had a good big boy job with benefits and stuff. So I wasn't going to like not get paid. I'm allowed to go on jury duty and I would be paid my salary, and I'd get to if the trial dragged on for 3 months, I'd be missing 3 months of work and still get paid. But I also knew, like, this is going to cause me. I didn't want to do it, but I guess when you get there and you're in the court and you see what's going on and you're like, "Fuck, man, I shouldn't have said that on my questionnaire. I should have just been like completely neutral and snuck in under the radar and then sent somebody home." Like, exactly, JS. I was about to say the word. Jury nullification. I could have just said he's not guilty. Like, if they got somebody in there for smoking weed, I'd have been like, "Not guilty, motherfucker." And then I'd go home and smoke some weed. I would literally stand my ground and make it a hung jury if somebody was getting on trial for a bag of weed. I would have said, "I don't give a fuck if he has a bag of weed in his pocket right now and he pulls out a fucking bong and takes a hit in the middle of the courtroom. I'm still going to say not guilty. Not guilty." Yeah, jury nullification, you'll get sent home by a very angry judge. Yeah, they don't like that. They don't like that. But that's the whole point of having a jury. Like, all these people getting arrested, or they can't really find the people, but the people getting arrested for cutting down all the flock cameras in town. There's been a couple of people arrested for that. Are they going to be able to find a jury? Nobody wants these fucking cameras watching our every move in our fucking neighborhood, tracking our license plates and everything else that they're doing. And you got all these people on social media in the comments saying jury nullification, jury nullification, jury nullification. Have you ever been inside the fucking courtroom sitting at the jury and getting questioned and grilled by these people? How many of these people are going to have the balls to jury nullify it? Even though, like, because they do. The judge and everybody involved is going to act as if you're going to be in big trouble if you don't play ball. If you don't go along with what we want you to do, there's going to be trouble coming your way. That's what they want you to think when you're getting in that jury box. That if you don't rule the way that we want you to, you're going to be in trouble. But they can't fucking do anything to you. You're the one in charge. If you don't think the person's guilty, there's nothing that they can fucking do to you because you said not guilty when they wanted you to say guilty. The only thing that they can do is the judge can just keep making everybody go back to the deliberation room. Because if I'm the one guy saying not guilty and I'm in a room full of people saying guilty, they're going to try and pressure me. They're like, we're going to be here for 6 fucking weeks arguing in this room until you do what we want you to do. And then you've got to have the fucking balls to say, no, I'm going to say not guilty. We can sit here for the next 3 fucking months. I'm not going to change my mind. Fuck you. Yeah. And I mean, OJ got away with killing his wife because he could afford it. You can buy anybody who goes home from court not guilty bought their ticket home because they had enough money. Even that, like, you even look at like Kyle Rittenhouse, right? The kid, he got acquitted of murder when he shot those protesters, but he had a legal team. People donated so much money to that kid that they could afford good lawyers and shit. Just like that Caramello Anthony guy here in Houston that stabbed the kid. They donated so much money to his GoFundMe that his parents bought a $500,000 house and a fucking Escalade. They could have bought lawyers. They could have paid for some fucking lawyers, but they took that money and, they did I knew what they were going to spend the money on when all that money came flying in. But Kyle Rittenhouse, the same thing happened to him. He had money come at him. The Jew killer. Oh my God, the fucking guy. The guy who killed 11 people at the synagogue in Pittsburgh. When he went to jail, people donated money to him. People donated $500,000 for him. So, like, I was saying some shit. Like, I was like, hey, why don't somebody put up a fucking GoFundMe for me? Nobody would. Like, I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any friends who had enough fucking motivation to, hey, why don't you help a brother out? Put up a GoFundMe page so you can get a fucking lawyer. But if I went into a synagogue and killed 11 people, they would have dropped the public people, good Samaritans or whatever, the SS would have all the Hitler youth in America donated to the cause and dropped 500 grand in this guy's commissary account. I mean, he had money for lawyers. He had money to defend himself. He still got the death penalty. And Joe Biden, when Joe Biden commuted all the federal death sentences, the Jew killer and the Boston bomber were the only 2 people that didn't get a pardon or didn't get a commutation. Joe Biden took all of those death sentences and turned them to life in prison, except for those 2 dudes. So those 2 guys are still sitting in Terre Haute, Indiana, waiting for their day in the electric chair or the gas chamber or whatever it's going to be. Those are the only 2 that he didn't give a commutation for. And Trump ain't gonna. Donald Trump, he'll want to put you on the fucking. He'd give you the death penalty for talking shit about Melania, let alone doing a crime. But anyway, It's been cool tonight. Thank you all for coming out. It's like 3 hours, 20 minutes. I always feel really drained on Wednesday night when I sit down to hang out with you guys. And I always have this like, oh, kind of like I'm worn out and tired and but hanging out with you guys and talking to you and reading your comments and seeing the same people show up, it's a cool, it's like we're a group of friends. I would love to hang out with all of you someday, like when I can travel again. um like I would, my original, I thought when I wanted to do YouTube originally, I wanted to go travel around as a photographer, taking pictures and document it. There's a lot of people who do stuff like that on YouTube and do very well. And having people that I'm in touch with all over the country, even if it's just we hang out, go grab a bite to eat and a couple of beers. I'm not like, hey, can I stay at your house? Or, I know that's, some people are going to be like, yeah, you can camp out in my yard or, one way or another, just grabbing a beer, going out for a dinner or something, or just, um, if I can travel again, one of the things I used to do, because I did used to network with people around the country when I would travel as a photographer, one of my favorite things to ask people would be like, what should I take a picture of when I'm in town? Like, what's the best place what's the best scenic view? What's a secret thing that only the locals know about? That's one thing I'm known for. Whenever I travel, people come up to me. They're like, "How the fuck did you find out about this?" Because this is something that only the locals know. This hasn't made it to Instagram yet. This hasn't been on Facebook yet. Like, how did you find this place? And I'd be like, well, I just, talk to people. and, and I'm good at finding things like that on my own as well. I'm just, um, some things are, you dig deep enough, you find things. And so just cool experiences like that. Not just what's a good thing to take a picture of, but where's a good place to eat that's not, something that I can only get here. Um, anything else. Like just I love experiencing things like that. And that's something I really miss right now in terms of life in general. I've been stuck in my place where I live right now. I went to a Dave Matthews concert a couple of months ago back in May. And that's the only time that I haven't gone to a restaurant for a dinner. I haven't I haven't done anything. I haven't even gone on a bicycle ride just for fun. I haven't gone camping. I have not done one thing since the day I came out of prison that was just for fun, just to go out and have a good time and do something, except for that concert. And to go hang out at my friends here and there when they're having people over for like, a cookout or something. But other than like hanging out with my friend, which happens like once every month, every couple of months, every 4 to 8 weeks, I'll go over there and hang out. The time goes by so fast that it doesn't feel like that much time passed between hanging out. But that was like my favorite thing to do before my life fell apart was travel and experience things and live out of the back of a pickup truck and live out of a Jeep Wrangler or ride a bicycle 1,000 miles and live out of a saddlebags and put on a backpack and go on a 50-mile hike, 100-mile hike and just live out of a backpack for days on end and just experience things and see things, take pictures of things. And so I don't know, that's kind of like maybe that's the direction I'll go with life once everything sorts itself out. There's a guy on YouTube. What's his name? His name is Wes Wherever. Um, he's camped places and documented it that I've camped at. He travels the country in a van, I guess. And a lot of his videos that I've seen, he'll paddle to an island in the middle of, like, he paddled to an island in the middle of Boston Harbor because he was going to camp in an abandoned lighthouse, but he camped on an island instead because the lighthouse was too sketchy. And it does things like that. He camped on an island in the Potomac River by Quantico, next to the Navy base, next to the Marine base and the FBI headquarters there. Um, he he goes play. He does weird things like that. He camped in the abandoned turnpike tunnels in Pennsylvania, which is one I've camped in there. And he does different things like that. And but he was talking about. I've only seen a handful of his videos, but he was talking about in a video. I guess his van broke down, and he was gonna have to get. He was basically gonna have to like take a bus home, or like he was gonna have to like ditch his van, find his way home somehow, and save up money to get a new van or something like that. And he was going to have to abandon his trip. And, that was the end of his travels. And that would be the last video for a while, and this and that. And somebody on his YouTube channel said, now he's got a lot of followers, but somebody said, why don't you put up a GoFundMe for your van? And so the video I was watching, whenever it was shot, was him thanking everybody. So basically, he put up a GoFundMe, and he showed the repair bill for his van. It was like $8,000 to fix his van, whatever was wrong with the van. And maybe he got ripped off. Like maybe it was a mechanic that just ripped him off like crazy because he's a traveler, he's from out of town, he's stranded. Sometimes you have a breakdown in a place where you're stranded from out of town, and you pick the wrong mechanic, and you're going to get raked over the coals and really done dirty. But anyway, he had like a $8,000 repair bill from this garage that fixed his van, and like the people donated the money on GoFundMe to him, like all of it. They paid his whole repair bill and left him with a little bit of money on top of that, like $10,000 out of nowhere, because they all wanted to see him continue his trip. And these were like he showed this wall of people's donations or whatever they took. Like he took the time to make a couple of screens to show, and it was like all like $40, $30, $20 here, $20 there, $30 here, $20 there. A couple of people, $100 here, $100 there, I'm sure. But he made like people donated like $9,000 so he could fix his van and still keep going on this journey and he does a good job. His videos are well done. He's got good editing style. He does good videography. He's chill. He doesn't swear. He's family friendly and all that. Not political. He's not doing anything to like drive the algorithm down. So, I mean, I could see myself doing my thing like that. I'm going to have my same bad attitude and stuff, but I can, tone it. I mean, the Richie from Boston does that shit, and he's got his political channels, and he does all the politics and stuff, and talks about all that stuff. But that dude, he's got money in the bank. I don't know where it came from. He doesn't talk about that. I've tried to figure out what the fuck he did to be able to afford some of the shit he does and spends money on, but he seems to be doing just fine financially. But he also has this thing called Jailbreak Overlander channel, where he drives around the country in a souped up fucking Toyota off-roader and goes on all these adventures and films all that shit and doesn't talk about the politics and stuff, and he gets people watching him through there. So I don't know, maybe I don't know when. Like I just like the days go by so fast, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing right now. It's hard to just show up to do this live stream on Wednesday. There's all these things I want to do, but I'm burned out and I don't know what to do. um, I've got work to do. I've got all these things going on, and it's like, how do you even get the time? And you can't just start something like that. Like you can't just be like that guy with the van, decide, oh, I'm going to go drive around the country and do YouTube videos. Like, you got to have some money. You can't just like have 50 bucks in the fucking bank and decide to do that and think it's going to work out. But he obviously didn't have enough money to fix his van when it broke down, and he was going to have to throw in the towel and do whatever. And people were like, "Here you go. Here's 10 grand. Fix your van." Um, so I don't know. Like, you never know what's going to happen. You never know. Like, you could be at the right, you just have to, God, God can put you in the right place at the right time, surrounded by the right people, and everything changes like that. And I've seen it so many times in my life, other people's lives, and so I don't know. We'll just keep on keeping on, I guess. And with that, I'll see all you next week. I'm gonna get out of here, go grab a bite to eat or whatever I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna eat like a salad. I'm trying to get rid of some bloat this week. Trying to get motivated enough to start working out again. One of you asked me if I'm riding my bike or driving. Driving. I haven't been on a bike ride in a bit. I put that away for a while. Um, I was going to the gym regularly for like 3, 4 months, and then I stopped one day. And it's very hard to. It's hard because I got to spend all day tomorrow working, and Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday just to get everything done. And I'm talking like work from like 8, 9 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night every day. How do I work out? So I got to figure this out. I got to figure out how to bring that balance back. When I was going to the gym, I was falling behind on other things. And now that I'm catching up on other things, I'm falling behind on the gym. So I don't know how people do it. I mean, most people that I see that have balance in their life are rich and they can afford it. So with that, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna say peace out. We'll hang out next week. Thanks for stopping by.